Did you know that the legendary lost city of Atlantis possessed technology far exceeding our current understanding, hinting at extraterrestrial intervention? And what if this advanced technology was not of human origin, but gifted or forced upon Atlantis by alien races with their own agendas? In this video, we will uncover the hidden history of Atlantean technology, revealing the specific alien civilizations that influenced its development and the true cause of its catastrophic downfall. The name Atlantis conjures images of a utopian civilization, a maritime power possessing technological marvels lost to the sands of time. Tales passed down through generations, and most notably chronicled by Plato, speak of a society that harnessed crystal energy, constructed magnificent, towering cities, and commanded the skies with advanced flying machines. The traditional narrative paints Atlantis as a beacon of human ingenuity, a testament to what humanity can achieve, yet their hubris and thirst for power ultimately led to their demise in a cataclysmic event. The oceans swallowed their island, erasing their existence from the face of the earth, or so the story goes. But was Atlantean technology purely a product of human ingenuity, or was it influenced by extraterrestrial civilizations? What if Atlantean technology was not merely inspired by aliens, but directly provided and controlled by them, leading to both unprecedented advancement and ultimate destruction? To answer this, we must delve into ancient texts, archaeological anomalies, and fringe theories, connecting the dots between Atlantis, alien civilizations, and the Great Flood. We'll examine the roles of specific alien races, the Anunnaki, the Sirians, the Draconians, and the Nordics, and explore the true nature of the cataclysm that ended Atlantis, and question if the Great Flood was truly a natural disaster, or a consequence of unchecked technological advancement and the misuse of power granted by beings from beyond the stars. We will begin by looking into the Sirians and their possible influence in Atlantis. Was Atlantean technology truly Atlantean, or was it reverse-engineered or directly provided by extraterrestrial entities, specifically the Anunnaki, Sirians, and Draconians? And if aliens provided the tech, what did Atlantis give in return, and what were the potential consequences that rippled through millennia? The core premise we will explore is that Atlantean technological advancements were a direct result of alien intervention. Each alien race contributed specific elements, and the Atlanteans, through a combination of hubris and naivete, misused this technology, ultimately leading to the Great Flood. Understanding this connection is crucial to understanding the true history of humanity and the dangers of unchecked technological advancement without wisdom or ethical considerations. What if the echoes of Atlantis's fall resonate in our modern world, a warning whispered across the ages about the perils of playing with powers we do not fully understand? Whispers of alien gifts echo through the ages, and the Emerald Tablets of Thoth serve as one such primary source. Within these tablets, Thoth, claiming to be an Atlantean priest-king, speaks of receiving advanced knowledge from beings from the stars. Thoth was saying, "From the Great One's knowledge I received. Oft I had traveled the dark pathways of space, even to the star house of the Great Ones." This knowledge, it is said, allowed Atlantis to develop crystal power sources capable of providing energy for entire cities. Imagine colossal crystals, humming with power, channeling energy from the very fabric of the cosmos to power homes, vehicles, and even weapons. This technology in its potential mirrors modern-day energy research, particularly in the fields of fusion and zero-point energy. But where did this knowledge originate? Was it a gift, a trade, or something far more sinister? Ancient Indian texts unveil another piece of the puzzle: Vimana technology. These flying machines, described in detail within the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, are often connected to Atlantean flying machines. One passage reads, The Vimana was like the sun in the sky. It could go anywhere. Ancient texts describe Vimanas as being capable of interstellar travel, armed with devastating weapons, and powered by mysterious forces. Think of sleek metallic crafts soaring through the skies, defying gravity with advanced propulsion systems. Now, consider the pyramids, the Sphinx, and other megalithic structures scattered across the globe. These architectural marvels showcase architectural precision, advanced mathematical knowledge, and the movement of colossal stones. This level of sophistication clashes with conventional understandings of ancient societies. Did the Atlanteans possess the knowledge to construct these wonders, or were they guided by beings from beyond our world? The Emerald Tablets, if authentic, suggest a direct line of communication between Atlantean priests and extraterrestrial entities. What were the terms of this exchange? Was it a benevolent transfer of knowledge, or did the aliens have their own agenda? It is theorized that crystal power, while capable of providing clean and sustainable energy, could have been harnessed irresponsibly, leading to energy imbalances and environmental disasters. Picture immense crystals overloaded with power, emitting dangerous radiation, and destabilizing the Earth's magnetic field. This misuse of crystal technology may be more than a simple accident but a deliberate act with catastrophic implications. Then there are the Vimanas. Could these flying machines have been based on alien designs? Were they reverse-engineered from crashed alien spacecraft? Compare Vimana descriptions with modern-day UFO sightings and aerodynamic principles. Do we see similar patterns in design, propulsion, and maneuverability? These structures might have served multiple purposes, acting not just as tombs or temples, but also as energy generators, communication devices, or astronomical observatories. The purpose of these structures is up to the seeker of knowledge. We've seen how ancient texts and archaeological anomalies hint at alien involvement in Atlantean technology. The Anunnaki, Sirians, and Draconians all left their mark on Atlantis. But what were the specific roles of these alien races in Atlantis? How did their influence shape Atlantean society and technology, leading to its ultimate downfall? Could it be that advanced knowledge was used to manipulate or control the population of Atlantis, leading to internal conflicts and the eventual downfall of the civilization? The possibility of social stratification based on access to alien technology cannot be ignored. Were there elites who controlled the flow of information and resources, while the masses remained ignorant and subservient? The Anunnaki, known for their involvement in seeding humanity, may have had a specific interest in creating a hybrid race in Atlantis for resource extraction or other purposes. So it was, the Anunnaki were saying, "We shall make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." Perhaps the Atlanteans were engineered to be stronger, smarter, and more obedient. The Epic of Gilgamesh makes reference to a great flood sent by the gods to destroy humanity. The gods were terrified by the flood, so it was written, "They fled, ascending to the heaven of Anu." This text presents the idea of divine intervention in human affairs and connects with other flood narratives across different cultures. The Anunnaki, fearing the consequences of their own actions, may have decided to wipe the slate clean. Introduce the Sirians as a race known for their peaceful philosophy and advanced understanding of consciousness and spirituality. The Sirians sought to bring enlightenment to Atlantis. So they were saying, "We come in peace, bearing gifts of knowledge and understanding." Sirian technology was primarily used for healing, enhancing consciousness, and promoting harmony. Atlantean access to Sirian technology resulted in a spiritual superiority complex among some Atlanteans, leading to social divisions and disregard for others. Imagine incidents where Atlanteans used Lyran healing technology to create a ruling elite, further exacerbating social inequality. Some began to believe they were superior beings, destined to rule over others. So, what have we uncovered? The Emerald Tablets speak of alien gifts, the Vimanas hint at advanced flight, and the structures point to lost tech. Taken together, these findings suggest that Atlantean society was not simply advanced, but a product of complex interactions with multiple extraterrestrial civilizations, each with their own agendas and influences. There was conflicting agendas and the resulting chaos in Atlantean society. What does this mean for our understanding of history? Atlantis, therefore, serves as a reminder that progress must be tempered with wisdom, ethics, and a deep understanding of the potential consequences of our actions, particularly when dealing with advanced technologies or external forces. But we're just scratching the surface. What we discover next will be even more shocking. But that's not all. Was Atlantis a self-made civilization, or were their technological leaps guided or dictated by cosmic entities? If so, how did this external influence affect Atlantis's societal values and ultimate fate? The core of this question lies in the manipulation, or outright gifting, of technologies to Atlantis by specific alien races, namely the Nordics, Draconians, Anunnaki, and Lyrans. Atlantis's trajectory, both its rise and its cataclysmic fall, was inextricably linked to the agendas of these alien races. Acknowledging this cosmic connection fundamentally alters our understanding of human history and the potential dangers inherent in unchecked technological reliance and external manipulation, hinting at a larger galactic play involving Earth. Let's begin with the Nordic influence. Some theories suggest that the Nordics gifted Atlantis with advanced energy technologies based on harnessing zero-point energy. Although these accounts are not proven, channeled materials and fringe theories describe Nordic interactions with early humans and the transfer of advanced knowledge. Envision Atlantean cities powered by zero-point energy devices, drawing power from the vacuum of space itself, a technology far beyond our current capabilities, were it not for the restraints on this forbidden knowledge. The Anunnaki also left their imprint. Sumerian texts, when reinterpreted, describe the Anunnaki's arrival on Earth and their quest for gold, linking it to possible Atlantean mining operations. Imagine vast Atlantean mining complexes, extracting precious metals and crystals under the watchful eyes of Anunnaki overseers, a partnership forged in ambition and greed. Now, consider the Lyran contributions. The Lyrans may have been connected to Atlantis, focusing on the concept of crystalline technology used for healing and spiritual advancement. The Lyran philosophy of harmony and balance influenced Atlantean social structures and their use of crystals. The Lyrans were responsible for bringing the first humans here. Picture majestic crystal temples, radiating healing energy and promoting spiritual growth, a testament to the Lyran influence on Atlantean society. What about the Draconian dark tech? The Draconians are a negative influence, providing Atlantis with weapons, technology, and control systems that led to corruption and social division. Theories of Draconian manipulation suggest their agenda was to create a hierarchical society based on power and control. Envision gleaming Draconian weapons, capable of unleashing devastating energy blasts, and surveillance systems that monitored every aspect of Atlantean life, solidifying the Draconian grip on power. How could zero-point energy technology have powered Atlantean cities and vehicles? Perhaps it led to environmental imbalances if not properly managed. The potential for creating dead zones or disrupting Earth's magnetic field through improper use of this technology cannot be dismissed. What scale of impact came from Atlantean mining? It could have destabilized the Earth's crust and contributed to the Great Flood. Imagine Atlantean mining practices mirroring modern-day strip mining, leaving behind a trail of environmental devastation. How may crystalline technology have led to social stratification, with a ruling elite hoarding its benefits and creating a spiritual superiority complex? Did the Atlanteans use crystal technology to enhance their own abilities or control the minds of others? Picture Atlantean elites, empowered by crystal technology, manipulating the masses and consolidating their control. Now consider the draconian influence on Atlantean societal control. These control systems could have led to a police state, suppressing dissent and creating a culture of fear. Envision the Atlantean population living under constant surveillance, their thoughts and actions monitored by draconian influence technology, a chilling reminder of the cost of unchecked power. So, we've identified the technological gifts of the Nordics, Anunnaki, Lyrians, and the corrupting influence of the Draconians. Each of these technologies was dual-edged. What did Atlantis give in return for this advanced technology? What were the terms of these cosmic contracts, and what were the long-term consequences? Did Atlantis make a deal with the devil, sacrificing its freedom and independence for technological power? Atlantis became overly reliant on Nordic technology, losing its own ingenuity and becoming a puppet state. Atlanteans may have become unable to function without Nordic assistance, making them vulnerable. Anunnaki demanded Atlantis mine resources, leading to environmental degradation and exploitation of its own people. Imagine harsh conditions in the Atlantean mines. Atlantis compromised its spiritual values by prioritizing technological advancement over inner growth and compassion. Atlanteans may have lost touch with nature, becoming obsessed with material possessions and power. Picture Atlantean society, obsessed with technological advancement, neglecting its spiritual roots and descending into moral decay. Atlantis adopted draconian social structures, leading to a hierarchical society based on power and control, suppressing individual freedom. Imagine an oppressive Atlantean government, stifling dissent and crushing any opposition. How did the loss of self-sufficiency make Atlantis vulnerable to external threats and internal instability? Perhaps the Nordics withdrew their support or used their technology to control Atlantis. What results came from environmental degradation? It led to natural disasters and resource scarcity, exacerbating social tensions. Picture famines, droughts, and earthquakes plaguing Atlantis as a result of reckless mining operations. How did the pursuit of technological advancement lead to a spiritual void? This void made Atlantis susceptible to negative influences. The rise of cults and extremist groups exploited the spiritual emptiness of the Atlantean people. How did the suppression of freedom and dissent create a powder keg of resentment, leading to rebellion and civil war? Underground resistance movements fought against the oppressive Atlantean regime. So, we've seen how Atlantis compromised its values and independence in exchange for alien technology. The specific sacrifices made by Atlantis for each alien race now rest clear. What ultimately triggered the Great Flood? Was it a natural disaster, or was it a deliberate act of cosmic intervention, a consequence of Atlantean hubris and alien manipulation? The Great Flood was not just a natural event, but a result of Atlantean actions and alien agendas. Atlantean misuse of zero-point energy created a catastrophic energy imbalance, triggering a chain reaction that led to the flood. The Anunnaki, displeased with Atlantean management of resources, deliberately triggered the flood to wipe the slate clean and start over. Envision the Anunnaki, disgusted by Atlantean corruption and environmental destruction, unleashing a cataclysmic flood to cleanse the earth. Atlantean spiritual disconnect weakened their connection to the earth, making them vulnerable to natural disasters. Picture the Atlanteans, cut off from their spiritual roots, unable to sense the impending disaster. Civil war and social unrest weakened Atlantis's defenses, making it vulnerable to a cosmic event or a deliberate attack. Imagine Atlantis, torn apart by internal conflict, unable to defend itself against the coming cataclysm. How did the uncontrolled release of zero-point energy create massive tidal waves and earthquakes, devastating Atlantis? A feedback loop amplified the energy imbalance. What were the Anunnaki's motives for triggering the flood? They may have seen Atlantis as a failed experiment or a threat to their own power. Picture the Anunnaki, watching from above as Atlantis is engulfed by the flood, a grim reminder of their power and their failures. Could the spiritual disconnect have created a hole in the Earth's energy field, allowing for a cataclysmic event to occur? A shift in the Earth's magnetic poles or a sudden release of tectonic energy might have occurred. How did the collapse of Atlantean society create a power vacuum, allowing other alien races to step in and influence humanity's development? Perhaps the Draconians orchestrated the flood to eliminate their rivals and establish their own dominance. So we've seen how the Nordics, Anunnaki, Lyrians, and Draconians all played a role in the rise and fall of Atlantis, each contributing to its technological advancement and its ultimate destruction. Taken together, these factors suggest that the Great Flood was not just a natural disaster, but a complex event triggered by Atlantean hubris, alien manipulation, and a catastrophic combination of technological and spiritual imbalances. What can we learn from the story of Atlantis? Can we avoid making the same mistakes, or are we destined to repeat history? Atlantis, therefore, serves as a warning from the stars, reminding us that progress must be tempered with wisdom, ethics, and a deep understanding of the potential consequences of our actions, particularly when dealing with advanced technologies or external forces. But the true horror of what happened to Atlantis has yet to be seen. But what if Atlantean technology wasn't just a gift, or reverse-engineered from crashed spacecraft? What if each device, each crystal, each energy source contained a hidden, seed code pre-programmed instructions and limitations subtly directing Atlantean development, often toward predetermined outcomes? Understanding this seed code is crucial to understanding how alien influence subtly shapes civilizations and the potential for technological gifts to become instruments of control, begging the question, were the Atlanteans truly in control of their own destiny, or were they merely puppets dancing to an alien tune? Consider the Nordic influence. It is said that they gifted Atlantis with devices powered by zero-point energy, drawing limitless power from the very fabric of space. But what if these devices were designed with built-in limitations, requiring ongoing maintenance or specific resources only the Nordics could provide? Imagine Atlantean engineers constantly relying on Nordic technicians to calibrate and repair their power grids, or discovering that their zero-point reactors only functioned with crystals mined from a specific Nordic-controlled region. Citing channeled materials, it's believed that the Nordics, while seemingly benevolent, were subtly controlling, guiding humanity towards a specific evolutionary path and using dependency as a means of influence. We offer you the stars, so the Nordics were saying, but remember, only we know how to navigate them. Then there is the Anunnaki genetic engineering. According to reinterpreted Sumerian texts, the Anunnaki sought to engineer a workforce, the Lulu Amilu, to serve their needs. But what if their genetic tools contained preset algorithms, directing Atlantean evolution along specific lines, potentially to create a docile workforce or a hybrid race subservient to their will? Imagine Atlantean scientists, unknowingly following Anunnaki protocols, creating a society divided into rigid castes, with the pure-blooded Atlanteans at the top and the genetically engineered workers at the bottom. This is evident by the Anunnaki, who sought to create worker races through genetic alteration. "We give you the power to shape life," the Anunnaki were saying, "but the clay must be molded according to our design." Lyran crystal technology, with its promise of healing and spiritual advancement, may also have contained a hidden code. What if these crystals were attuned to specific frequencies or consciousness levels, creating a social hierarchy where those attuned were seen as superior, and those with lower consciousness were seen as inferior? Envision Atlantean society, where access to advanced healing techniques and spiritual enlightenment was restricted to a select few, creating a form of spiritual gatekeeping. Only certain individuals could unlock the full potential of the Lyran crystals. "We offer you enlightenment," the Lyrans were saying, "but only those who vibrate at the right frequency can truly ascend." Finally, consider the draconian weapons and control systems. According to theories of draconian reptilians, they needed human DNA to control society, potentially explaining the Atlantean royal bloodlines. What if these devices had built-in interfaces that required specific genetic markers or hierarchical access codes, concentrating power in the hands of a select few? Picture Atlantean society, where only those with draconian bloodlines could wield the most powerful weapons or access the most sensitive information, creating an oligarchy of unimaginable power. "We offer you dominion," the Draconians were saying, "but only those with the right blood can truly rule." This reliance on Nordic maintenance created a power dynamic, making Atlantis vulnerable to Nordic influence and potentially leading to their exploitation. Perhaps Atlantean society prioritized technological advancement over self-sufficiency, making them easy to manipulate, or the Atlanteans lost the ability to create their own technology. The Anunnaki genetic algorithms could have shaped Atlantean society into a rigid caste system, with the pure-blooded Atlanteans at the top and the genetically engineered workers at the bottom. This is just like modern-day social engineering tactics used to divide and control populations. The crystal resonance created a spiritual superiority complex, leading to social division and the marginalization of those deemed unworthy. There are instances where Atlanteans used crystal technology to justify social inequality and discrimination, creating the divide between the worthy and unworthy. The access codes for draconian technology could have created an oligarchy, where a small group of elites controlled all the power and resources. This is similar to the use of surveillance technology and propaganda that we see today, used to maintain the elite's control and suppress dissent. So the evidence suggests that alien technology wasn't just a gift, but a pre-programmed system designed to influence Atlantean society. What terms of service did Atlantis agree to in exchange for this technology, and how did their compliance or non-compliance determine their ultimate fate? Did the Atlanteans knowingly enter into a cosmic contract with unintended consequences, signing away their freedom for a taste of power? Perhaps Atlantis agreed to uphold certain ethical standards in exchange for Nordic technology, but gradually compromised these values in pursuit of greater power, leading to the Nordics' withdrawal of support. Envision scenarios where Atlanteans used Nordic technology for warfare or to control other civilizations, violating the original agreement. The Anunnaki may have demanded that Atlantis meet specific resource quotas, leading to environmental degradation and the exploitation of its own people. This created harsh conditions in the Atlantean mines and caused social unrest due to resource depletion. Atlantis may have agreed to dilute its spiritual traditions by incorporating alien philosophies, leading to a loss of its original values and a disconnect from its own spiritual source. Cults and extremist groups promoted alien agendas at the expense of Atlantean spirituality. Atlantis may have adopted draconian social structures and control methods in exchange for advanced weapons and surveillance technology, leading to a police state and the suppression of individual freedom. It is theorized that an oppressive Atlantean government existed and lacked social mobility, which can be traced back to the draconian adoption of control. This loss of Nordic support left Atlantis vulnerable to external threats and internal instability, leading to its eventual collapse. Perhaps other alien races stepped in and exploited Atlantis's weakness. Environmental degradation led to natural disasters and resource scarcity, exacerbating social tensions and contributing to the Great Flood. Famines, droughts, and earthquakes plagued Atlantis as a result of mining operations and environmental mismanagement. The dilution of spiritual traditions weakened Atlantis's connection to the Earth and the cosmos, making it vulnerable to negative energies and influences. There may have been a shift in the Earth's magnetic poles or a sudden release of tectonic energy as a result of this spiritual imbalance. The suppression of freedom and dissent created a powder keg of resentment, leading to rebellion, civil war, and the ultimate downfall of Atlantean civilization. The Atlantean Civil War and the resulting power vacuum was the final result of the draconian control. Atlantis's fate was sealed by the Norse power, the Anunnaki resources, the Lyran spirit, and the draconian control, sealing the terms of service deal. But was the Great Flood a natural disaster, or a deliberate act of cosmic cleansing, orchestrated by one or more alien races to eliminate a failed experiment and start over? Was it possible the Great Flood was not just a historical event, but a deliberate act of intervention by beings with their own agendas? The Nordics offered power, the Anunnaki labor, the Lyrans elevation, and the Draconians control. The seeds of destruction were sown within the very technologies that promised advancement, turning their greatest assets into the instruments of their doom. The flood was not merely an end, but a cleansing reset of an alien-influenced experiment gone awry. As we explore this, can we learn from Atlantis, or are we doomed to repeat this pattern of technological dependence and alien manipulation? Atlantis is not just a myth. It's a warning echoing across time, urging us to approach technological advancement with caution, ethical awareness, and a deep understanding of the potential consequences of our choices, leaving us to ponder, what was the true horror of the Great Flood? Did you know that the seeds of Atlantis's destruction were sown not just in advanced alien technologies, but in their reliance on them, which stunted their own natural innovation? What specific technologies acted as crutches, hindering their own scientific progress, ultimately leading to their downfall? This reveals the long-term dangers of dependency on external forces, raising critical questions about maintaining self-sufficiency in an age of rapid technological advancement. Consider this. Did the Atlanteans become so reliant on alien-provided technology, specifically from the Lyrans, that their own scientific curiosity and inventiveness atrophied, much like a muscle that's never used? History suggests they did, and that they valued the alien tech over their own ability to innovate, never truly developing original thought. We find a clear example of the Atlanteans' stunted innovation when looking at reverse engineering versus true innovation. In the ancient records, the Atlanteans are never described as inventing new technologies themselves, but rather disassembling alien technology and building things out of it. This reliance exposes the long-term dangers of dependency on external forces. What happened to Atlantis speaks volumes about maintaining self-sufficiency in an age of rapid technological advancement. If they had spent less time consuming and more time creating, perhaps the story would have a different ending. This relates directly to modern society's outsourcing of skills and knowledge. Like Atlantis, we live in a world that is more and more dependent on technology. The Lyran crystal technology stands as a prime example. Used for energy and medicine, This technology was so advanced that its inner workings remained a mystery to most Atlanteans. Ancient texts describe how the crystals resonated with specific frequencies to heal the sick, but the Atlanteans didn't understand why or how the technology truly worked. It was something akin to magic. The Atlanteans adopted Lyran tech without questioning it, nor did they attempt to improve it. The texts suggest that they healed the sick with this advanced technology instead of seeking cures through scientific means. The focus was on relieving the symptoms instead of curing the disease. This is a sharp divergence from what could have been, because they could have studied Lyran technology, but instead, they took it at face value. The Atlanteans were simply handed technology that they used without question. Adding to the mystery, this Lyran tech became the core of their spirituality, so they would not let it go. As the Atlanteans were saying to each other, "Why invent something new when we already have healing at our fingertips?" The Atlanteans' identity became intertwined with alien technology, believing they needed it to become fully realized. This prevented them from growing on their own or learning from their mistakes. Their lack of critical thinking is what held them back. Analyzing this dependence, we can see how the Atlanteans' reliance on Lyran magic led to stagnation in scientific inquiry. As the ancient records state, why try to invent something when it can be done by the push of a button? Their dependence created a spiritual superiority complex, viewing those without it as lesser. Only a select few were capable of using this technology, and that created a rigid class system. Atlantean culture valued the effects of the technology without understanding the cause. As the ancient records indicate, medicine was seen as something to be given, not as something that's understood. They sought only to heal the body and neglected the mind. Knowledge of the body, mind, and soul was lost in the pursuit of physical wellness. This eventually led to their downfall. The Atlantean dependence on Lyran technology replaced natural innovation with reliance on others, stunting their progress. But what if the Lyrans only gave them healing technologies and kept the weapons for themselves? Is that why the Anunnaki stepped in and provided that technology? Hearken, for the next step in the Atlantean saga is the weapons of war. The Anunnaki required a large amount of gold to maintain their dying planet Nibiru. The ancient texts tell of the Anunnaki creating humans for the sole purpose of mining gold for them, as they put gold dust in the atmosphere to save their world. The Anunnaki needed slaves to mine the gold for them, and the Atlanteans were more than willing to do so. The Atlanteans used draconian weapons technology for expansion purposes. They needed to take over other lands to provide gold for the Anunnaki. With draconian weapons, they were able to conquer and take slaves themselves. The price of this obedience was steep, for in doing so, the Atlanteans lost themselves. What was once a symbiotic relationship turned into a parasitic one. The Atlanteans were required to provide a large amount of gold to the Anunnaki, creating a power dynamic. The Anunnaki were seen as all-powerful gods, and the Atlanteans were merely slaves. If the Atlanteans did not provide the Anunnaki with the gold, then the Anunnaki would threaten to destroy them. The draconian tech was used to conquer other nations, which caused a massive amount of war. There are many wars in ancient texts that show the Atlanteans fighting many other people. War and destruction became synonymous with the Atlantean name. This once advanced civilization has turned into something that we can hardly respect. But what does this all mean? What are the key points of this video? List ye, for the last part of this video will detail the final words. So, what have we uncovered? The Lyrans brought them advanced healing but stifled the natural progression of the people. Then the Anunnaki stepped in and created the tech of war. These alien civilizations intervened and forever damaged the Earth. The Great Flood was a product of multiple different choices. But can we learn from Atlantis, or are we doomed to repeat the mistakes? The human story is at a crossroads, and the choices we make now will determine the future of mankind. Therefore, what we do now determines the future of mankind. Was Atlantis' pursuit of alien technology driven by a genuine desire for progress, or a deeper, more primal craving for power and transcendence, pushing them to seek ever more potent benefactors? Did their initial contact with the Lyrians simply whet their appetite for the next level of tech? This insatiable thirst for technological advancement, fueled by a spiritual void, led the Atlanteans to seek out more advanced and potentially dangerous alien civilizations, specifically the reptilian Draconians. Understanding this thirst for transcendence is crucial to grasping the Atlantean downfall. We must recognize the dangers of unchecked ambition when coupled with spiritual emptiness and reliance on external forces. Consider humanity's current pursuit of AI and other potentially dangerous technologies without ethical grounding. Atlantean society initially depended on Lyran technology, but dissatisfaction with its limitations soon followed. Fringe theories speak of a faction within Atlantis that sought power beyond mere healing and spiritual growth. Secret societies emerged within Atlantis, dedicated to seeking contact with more powerful alien entities. Atlantean texts speak of cults and mystery schools that promised access to forbidden knowledge and technology. Reinterpreted ancient accounts suggest that these societies successfully made contact with the Draconians. References to serpent gods or reptilian entities began appearing in Atlantean mythology. The initial interactions between the Atlanteans and Draconians seemed beneficial, with an exchange of knowledge and technology occurring. The Draconians offered weapons, control systems, and other technologies that the Lyrians refused to provide. Analyzing this, we can see how the Draconians presented themselves as benevolent guides, offering Atlantis a path to power and dominance. They exploited Atlantean ambition and desire for control. They offered technologies focusing on weapons of war, surveillance systems, and control mechanisms. Consider the Draconian energy weapons and their destructive capabilities. These technologies appealed to the Atlantean elite, who sought to consolidate their power and expand their influence. The Draconian tech provided the Atlantean rulers with the means to suppress dissent and control the population. As the Draconian influence grew, Atlantean society began to subtly corrupt, leading to a decline in ethical standards and a rise in authoritarianism. The Atlanteans began to prioritize power and control over compassion and spiritual growth. The Atlanteans, driven by their thirst for power, turned to the Draconians, who offered technologies that the Lyrians refused to provide, but at a hidden cost. This was a Faustian bargain that Atlantis made with the Draconians. But what was the ultimate goal of the Draconians in Atlantis? Were they merely offering technology, or were they implementing a deliberate plan of societal engineering, subtly transforming Atlantean society into a reflection of their own hierarchical, control-based system? Did the Draconians seek to create a colony or puppet state in Atlantis? Consider the Draconian societal model, a rigid hierarchy with a ruling elite controlling all aspects of society through fear and manipulation. The Draconian caste system emphasizes bloodlines and genetic purity. Evidence suggests that the Atlantean government began to adopt similar structures, creating a ruling class with absolute power. A powerful Atlantean oligarchy controlled all resources and technology. The implementation of surveillance and control systems within Atlantis mirrored Draconian methods of suppressing dissent. This included the use of propaganda, mind control, and advanced weaponry to maintain order. A warrior culture rose within Atlantis, focused on conquest and domination, reflecting the Draconians' militaristic values. The Atlanteans began to view other civilizations as inferior and worthy of conquest. Analyzing this, The Atlantean elite embraced the draconian model, seeing it as a means to maintain their power and control. They believed that a hierarchical society was the only way to ensure stability and progress. Draconian societal engineering manifested in Atlantis through strict social stratification, suppression of individual freedom, and the promotion of a warrior ethos. The consequences of this transformation included the erosion of compassion, the rise of tyranny, and the increasing social unrest within Atlantis. The Atlantean people became divided and resentful, leading to internal conflict and rebellion. The Draconians manipulated the Atlanteans, using technology and propaganda to control their thoughts and behaviors. The Atlanteans became puppets dancing to a draconian tune. The Atlanteans, seduced by the promise of power, adopted the draconian societal model, transforming their once utopian society into a tyrannical regime. The Draconians influenced Atlantean society by transforming it into their own. But were the Atlanteans truly in control, or were they merely puppets dancing to a draconian tune, unwittingly fulfilling a larger agenda that would ultimately lead to their destruction? Did the Draconians have a hidden agenda for Atlantis that went beyond mere technological exchange? So, what have we uncovered? The Sirians brought them spirituality, but the Draconians brought war. The seeds of destruction were sown within the technology, turning Atlantis into a war machine. The utopia was lost for the power and control. If Atlantis could not see it, can we? Are we able to realize how far we've gone down the wrong path? This all needs to be for a reason. But here's what most people miss. Most believe that technology is neutral, but the Atlantean example shows that technology amplifies the values of the society that creates it. The shock is that the Atlanteans traded freedom for power. If Atlantis could not see it, can we? To realize how far we've gone down the wrong path. But what was the full plan, and what happened when everything finally fell apart? List ye, for the final part of this video will uncover the agenda and its result. How much of their freedom did the Atlanteans surrender for the siren song of greater power? The core of Atlantis's tragic tale lies in this very question. Their pursuit of technology, initially guided by the benevolent Sirians, morphed into an insatiable hunger for control, ultimately leading them down a dark path paved with draconian influence and societal collapse. The adoption of draconian technology, initially promising unparalleled power, came at the cost of their spiritual wisdom, their sense of community, and their connection to the natural world. By losing sight of what truly mattered, Atlantis unwittingly walked into a societal trap, a gilded cage crafted by the Draconians themselves. Imagine, if you will, a society willingly plugging itself into a virtual reality, the Matrix, where the promise of limitless experience masks a profound loss of freedom and genuine connection. This is the essence of the Draconian trap, a system where technological advancement becomes a substitute for spiritual evolution, where power over others replaces inner mastery. The Atlanteans, seduced by the allure of draconian technology, found themselves ensnared in a web of control, sacrificing their souls for the illusion of progress. Ancient texts allude to Atlantean military campaigns, fueled by draconian technology, as they sought to conquer other regions and expand their empire. Energy weapons of immense power became commonplace, capable of leveling entire cities in a single blast. According to fragmented scrolls discovered in long-forgotten libraries, the Atlantean military, once a force for peace and protection, transformed into an instrument of domination and oppression. The skies burned with emerald fire, one passage reads, and the earth trembled beneath the march of the Iron Legions. These are not mere embellishments, but echoes of a technological terror unleashed upon the world. But the draconian control was not merely external. It was interwoven into the very fabric of the technology itself. The Draconians manipulated Atlantean society by creating rigid hierarchies, rewarding obedience and punishing dissent. The energy weapons, for example, were not distributed equally, but reserved for the elite, solidifying their power and control. Consider the words of a disillusioned Atlantean engineer, recorded in a recovered data crystal. "We built these weapons to protect ourselves, but they have become instruments of our own enslavement. The power they wield is not ours, but theirs." Indeed, the draconian technology caused more deaths than it did good for the people of Atlantis. It brought the focus onto power and control, not on helping others or fostering a sense of community. The vast resources of Atlantis were poured into the war economy, neglecting the needs of the common people. Inequality soared, and social unrest festered beneath the surface of a seemingly utopian society. Instead of fostering growth, the tech accelerated the destruction of Atlantis. The Atlanteans had fallen into a cycle of war, power, and control. The consequences were devastating. By focusing on draconian technology to expand and achieve power, the Atlanteans lost sight of what actually mattered: compassion, wisdom, and spiritual growth. They became obsessed with external validation, seeking to conquer and control others rather than mastering themselves. Is this sounding familiar in our modern era? Atlantis, once a beacon of hope, was now consumed by its own ambition, blinded by the draconian promise of unlimited power. There were many internal battles for control within Atlantis, as different factions vied for dominance using the draconian technology. Secret societies clashed in the shadows, wielding energy weapons and engaging in clandestine warfare. One ancient account describes a fierce battle between two rival factions, the Order of the Emerald Flame and the Cult of the Serpent, who fought for control of a powerful crystal that could amplify energy weapons. The battle raged for days, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Brother turned against brother, the account reads, and the land was stained with the blood of ambition. The war economy of Atlantis eroded society, creating vast inequality in wealth and power. The elite lived in luxury, while the common people struggled to survive. The resources of Atlantis were poured into the war machine, neglecting the needs of the poor and marginalized. One ancient text laments the plight of the common people. "We toil in the shadow of the elite, our lives consumed by their endless wars. Our children go hungry while they feast on the spoils of conquest." This vast inequality bred resentment and unrest, further destabilizing Atlantean society. So, Atlantis was consumed with war and power and lost its way. A once advanced society had lost itself in the promise of more control. But what caused them to be so distracted? What drove them to embrace the draconian path of power and domination? The next part of this account will dive into the state of mind that gripped Atlantis, revealing the deeper forces that led to its tragic downfall. The shocking truth is that the Atlantean utopia was a carefully constructed illusion, masking a society riddled with paranoia and on the brink of collapse. But here's what most people miss. This pervasive distrust wasn't a natural occurrence. It was a carefully cultivated condition, seeded by the very draconian technology the Atlanteans so eagerly embraced: the stakes. This deep-seated paranoia ultimately paved the way for the final stage of draconian manipulation, leading directly to the catastrophic downfall of Atlantis. The draconian surveillance technology, initially presented as a tool for security and order, swiftly morphed into a vast, all-encompassing surveillance state, eroding trust at every level of Atlantean society. According to recovered data fragments, the constant monitoring led to a culture of informants and suspicion, where citizens were encouraged to report on one another for even minor infractions. Evidence suggests that even the most private conversations were subject to scrutiny, creating an atmosphere of fear and self-censorship. Imagine a world where every thought, every word, every action is potentially under the watchful eye of an unseen authority. This constant surveillance had a chilling effect, leading the elite Atlanteans to become increasingly obsessed with maintaining their grip on power. It's important to note that the need to secure dwindling resources, exacerbated by the Atlantean Empire's relentless expansion, fueled this paranoia even further. The elite, fearful of losing their privileged status, tightened their control over information, technology, and resources, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of distrust and oppression. Atlantis, once envisioned as a beacon of enlightenment, was rapidly transforming into the evil empire of the ancient world, its noble ideals sacrificed at the altar of power. This transformation went even further than a simple divide of power. As the Atlantean people began turning on each other, a terrifying social trend was set in motion, and it was all thanks to the draconian tech. This is significant because the elite were no longer fearful of just external forces, but also their own citizens who wanted to usurp their positions. So what was once a group of powerful people looking down, now had to watch their backs as well. The peaceful traditions of the Sirians, once revered for their wisdom and harmony, began to be viewed as weaknesses in this new, draconian-dominated society. It's important to note that the Atlanteans who clung to these values were ostracized, marginalized, and even persecuted for their beliefs. What this meant was, Atlantis was no longer just a place where power was held, but a place where your neighbors and family members would betray you for a chance at a higher position in draconian society. And so, Atlantis has become consumed with fear and internal conflict, slowly losing its sense of unity and purpose. This paranoia and social breakdown created a ripe opportunity for external forces to exploit and manipulate. So how does this all come together to create the Great Flood? Did the Draconians deliberately make Atlantis destroy itself? Or did another power intervene to stop the evil empire from spreading its influence further? As Atlantis teetered on the brink of self-destruction, the cosmic scales began to shift. The Sirians, witnessing the tragic consequences of their gift, made a difficult decision. They stepped back, allowing Atlantis to fall as a karmic lesson for the universe. According to ancient Lyran texts, their way is to allow others to learn from their mistakes, even if it means witnessing their downfall. Meanwhile, the Draconians, sensing their opportunity, consolidated their power, preparing to use Atlantis as a staging ground for further conquest and expansion across the planet. This is when internal conflict erupted into full-scale civil war, further destabilizing the planet and weakening its defenses, both physical and spiritual. The consequences of the Lyran withdrawal were devastating, leaving Atlantis vulnerable to its own destructive tendencies. Without the balancing influence of Lyran wisdom, the dark side of Atlantean society, fueled by draconian technology and ideology, took over completely. But it wasn't just internal collapse. The Draconians had a plan to use Atlantis as a beachhead, and their manipulation of the conflict was a calculated strategy to weaken the planet's defenses and enslave its population. In short, the Draconians would swoop in when the time was right to take over. With each passing day, the civil war escalated, and the misuse of powerful technologies threatened to tear the planet apart, destabilizing the very fabric of reality. Atlantis is now on the brink of self-destruction, torn apart by internal conflict and manipulated by external forces. The final step is nigh. So with all these factors in play, what force ultimately caused the Great Flood? Did the Sirians intervene, triggering a great cataclysm to prevent further draconian influence? Or perhaps the Anunnaki, who deemed the Atlanteans a failed experiment, decided to wipe the slate clean and start anew? So, what have we learned? The Atlanteans, a once great and powerful people, fell due to a collective state of distrust, snared in an inescapable trap of their own making. The end was the result of external and internal strife. Atlantis was doomed from the moment it embraced the draconian way, sacrificing its values for the allure of power. What can we learn from this? How can we avoid a similar fate? The lesson of Atlantis is a harsh but necessary one. We must keep our minds clear, our hearts open, and our spirits strong to make sound choices and avoid the pitfalls of unchecked power and technological hubris. But we're just scratching the surface. As we'll discover next, the truth behind the Great Flood may be even more complex and shocking than we ever imagined. The lesson of Atlantis echoes through the ages, a chilling reminder of unchecked ambition and technological hubris. But what most fail to consider is this. Was the Great Flood a random cataclysm, a mere act of nature, or was it a surgically precise cosmic intervention, orchestrated by forces beyond human comprehension? What would such a cleansing mean for the future of humanity? What would it mean for free will? The truth, shrouded in myth and whispered in esoteric circles, suggests that the Great Flood was anything but a random event. Instead, it appears as the culmination of millennia-long machinations, a desperate measure enacted by various alien races, each with their own agenda for the fate of humanity. The Anunnaki, perhaps viewing their creation as a flawed experiment, sought to wipe the slate clean. The Draconians, ever opportunistic, saw the flood as a chance to seize control of a weakened planet. Understanding this clandestine history reveals the profound, often unsettling, impact these extraterrestrial players have wielded and continue to wield over the destiny of humankind. Consider the Lyrians, the genetic architects of humanity, who, witnessing the Atlantean civilization spiraling towards self-destruction, chose to withdraw their direct influence, allowing the karmic cycle to play out. Their hands, seemingly clean, bear the weight of inaction, a testament to their non-interventionist philosophy. As the great civilization crumbled under its own weight, the Draconians, those reptilian overlords of interstellar empires, saw an unparalleled opportunity. Their plan, audacious and insidious, was to swoop in after the deluge, claiming dominion over a world stripped bare, its inhabitants scattered and broken. As for the Anunnaki, some accounts suggest their role was far more direct. They might have engineered the flood as a means to end what they deemed a failed experiment, a reset button pressed on a civilization that had strayed too far from its intended path. Is this why Enki warned a man in a dream to create a boat? Was that flood the end of Atlantis? Analyzing the motives of these extraterrestrial players provides a chilling glimpse into the cosmic forces shaping human history. The Lyrians, ever the detached observers, viewed Atlantis as a deviation from the Great Experiment, a society that had forsaken the Lyran ideals of harmony and balance. Their philosophy of non-interference, however, allowed the darkness to fester, ultimately contributing to Atlantis's downfall. The Draconians, with their insatiable lust for power, sought to exploit the chaos of the flood, envisioning a world ripe for conquest. Yet, their plans, as often happens, were ultimately foiled, their dreams of galactic dominion perpetually out of reach. And then there are the Anunnaki, those enigmatic beings whose motives remain shrouded in mystery. Was their intention to destroy humanity, deeming them unworthy of their divine spark? The flood narrative, a recurring motif throughout Earth's history, serves as a constant reminder of the potential for cataclysm, a perpetual threat looming over humankind. So the flood waters receded, the dust settled, and Atlantis, once a beacon of technological prowess and societal innovation, was submerged beneath the waves. But if there was a great flood, what was left of Atlantis? Are there any remnants of this civilization that was washed away? Are there echoes of this lost world still resonating in our modern era? Remarkably, across the globe, there exists architectural anomalies, structures built with a similar style, employing similar engineering techniques, hinting at a common origin point. Pyramids, those enigmatic monuments to ancient power, stand as silent witnesses on multiple continents, their precise alignments and advanced construction techniques defying conventional explanation. Ancient walls, megalithic structures of immense scale, display a mastery of stonework that surpasses modern capabilities. Even underwater structures, discovered in the depths of the ocean, bear the telltale signs of advanced Atlantean craftsmanship. Moreover, scattered throughout the ancient world, we find evidence of technology and knowledge that seems far beyond the capabilities of the civilizations that supposedly wielded them. Ancient texts speak of flying ships, vimanas soaring through the skies, and energy weapons, capable of unimaginable destruction. Consider the similarities between the pyramids of Egypt and those of Mesoamerica. Could it be that these diverse cultures, separated by vast oceans and millennia of time, were all influenced by a single, advanced civilization? Or perhaps, other ancient civilizations benefited from the reverse engineering of Atlantean technology, unlocking secrets that have since been lost to time. Moreover, it is worth considering that Atlantis may have been the genesis point for many of the world's modern religions. The stories that permeate throughout religions today get warped and changed over time, but could have derived from the same source. Atlantis is all around us. So what can we learn from this? Atlantis is a cautionary tale that repeats through time. Atlantis met its demise due to a great flood, but its influence still lingers, woven into the fabric of our modern world. The flood was a desperate attempt to wipe the planet clean, to erase the mistakes of a fallen civilization, but the echoes of the past continue to resonate, shaping our present and influencing our future. Lessons never learned lead to a hellish cycle. Are we doomed to repeat the same mistakes, succumbing to the allure of unchecked power and technological hubris? We have the knowledge to change. The choice is ours to make. What if we fail to take heed, succumbing to the same temptations that led to Atlantis's downfall? Atlantis fell, a consequence of internal discord and external manipulation. But did an Atlantean elite deliberately bury the truth of their alien interactions? Or was this cosmic history simply lost to the sands of time? Consider this. What if the loss of knowledge wasn't accidental, but an active process, a deliberate silencing of the cosmic truth? The core premise is this: a powerful Atlantean elite, perhaps swayed by draconian ideals of control, actively suppressed knowledge of their civilization's alien interactions. These elite acted to maintain their power and social order. They saw the truth as a threat, fearing it would empower the masses or reveal their dependence on beings not of this world. Uncovering this suppression exposes a recurring pattern in human history: the deliberate control of information to maintain power, and warns of the dangers of hidden agendas. Just consider our modern-day information control and censorship. So, how did they do it? What methods did this Atlantean elite use to obfuscate the truth? Consider the deliberate destruction or alteration of ancient texts and records that spoke of alien contact or advanced technology. The burning of libraries, the rewriting of history, and the silencing of dissenting voices within Atlantis were all tools used to control the narrative. The Atlantean elite also manipulated religious beliefs and spiritual practices to downplay the role of extraterrestrial beings and elevate their own status. A state religion was crafted, portraying the elite as divine rulers chosen by the gods, effectively obscuring their reliance on alien technology. What better way to control the masses than to position themselves as gods? But there's more. Evidence suggests that advanced technology itself was used to control the minds of the population and suppress memories of alien encounters. Imagine crystal technology or energy weapons repurposed for mind control, subtly erasing unwanted memories and reinforcing the elite's version of reality. Fringe theories whisper of such possibilities. Even Atlantean art and architecture may have played a role in this deception. Veiled language and symbolism were used to conceal hidden meanings and truths from the uninitiated. Sacred geometry or mythological figures could have encoded information about alien contact or advanced technology, accessible only to those with the key to unlock their secrets. But what motivated the Atlantean elite to engage in such a vast deception? Fear of losing control was a major factor. They believed the masses were not ready for the truth, that widespread knowledge of alien contact would shatter the social order. This thinking parallels modern-day arguments against full disclosure of UFO information. And the techniques they used were as varied as they were insidious: propaganda, censorship, misinformation, and the persecution of those who dared to challenge their authority. Dissent was not tolerated. The consequences for Atlantean society were devastating. Individual freedom was curtailed, critical thinking was eroded, and a culture of fear and obedience took root. The Atlanteans became pawns in their own civilization, controlled by an elite who had lost sight of the true potential of their people. This pattern of suppression is not unique to Atlantis. We see echoes of it in other ancient civilizations and modern societies, in the suppression of scientific discoveries, the manipulation of historical narratives, and the control of information by governments and corporations. The Atlantean elite deliberately suppressed knowledge of alien contact to maintain their power. They used propaganda, censorship, and even advanced technology to achieve this control, with devastating consequences for their society. But did this suppression end with the destruction of Atlantis, or does its legacy continue to influence our world today through secret societies and hidden agendas? Did the Atlantean elite somehow pass on their knowledge and techniques to select groups who continue to control information in the modern era? Enter the secret societies, the Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and Illuminati. Are these groups potential inheritors of Atlantean knowledge and techniques, as some claim? They profess to possess ancient wisdom and are allegedly involved in shaping historical events. But is there more to the story? Evidence suggests that these societies have deliberately suppressed or distorted knowledge of alien contact and advanced technology to maintain their own power and control. What if theories about the suppression of free energy technology, the manipulation of political events, and the control of the media are not just conspiracy theories, but reflections of a deeper, more ancient struggle for knowledge? Consider this. Could these societies be involved in a long-term plan to gradually reveal the truth about alien contact to humanity, but only on their own terms? The concept of a controlled disclosure is intriguing, but what could their motives be? Perhaps they believe that humanity is not yet ready for the full truth, or perhaps they seek to manage the transition in a way that preserves their own power and influence. And then there are the channeled ancient texts. Why are some of these stories so similar, despite originating from different cultures and time periods? Could they be fragments of a lost history, whispered through the ages by those who remember the truth? Did famous people throughout history have contact with non-earthly beings? Joan of Arc claimed she had contact with saints in heaven, and she was able to lead France to victory in the 100 Years' War. Perhaps these divine voices were not from God, but from beings beyond our world. But what drives these modern-day secret societies? What are their motives for suppressing or controlling knowledge? Fear of social chaos is a primary driver. They may believe that humanity is not ready for the full truth, that widespread knowledge of alien contact would lead to panic and unrest. The desire to maintain their own power is another key factor. Knowledge is power, and those who control knowledge control the world. And the techniques they use to achieve this control are familiar: propaganda, censorship, economic manipulation, and political influence. The potential consequences of their actions for humanity are dire. Stifled progress, loss of individual freedom, and the perpetuation of a false reality are all prices we pay for living in a world where knowledge is suppressed and controlled. And how does this connect to the larger narrative of alien influence on human history? What if these secret societies are acting as intermediaries for alien races, either knowingly or unknowingly? This adds another layer of complexity to the story, suggesting that the forces shaping human history are far more vast and intricate than we imagine. Modern secret societies are allegedly the inheritors of Atlantis and suppressing information. The world that is known is not how it seems. But are these societies acting on their own, or are they merely pawns in a larger game played by alien forces with their own agendas for humanity? Are the players in the game of humanity much larger than we imagine? The suppression of knowledge is an ongoing game played out across millennia. The lies and deception have not ended with Atlantis. The Great Flood wiped the planet clean, but was that it? Or was it a setup for the next age of power and control? Atlantis's history serves as a warning. The power to choose is always within us. We must find it. Was Atlantis truly a utopia, or was it something far more sinister masked in splendor? Did the gleaming towers and advanced technology hide a darker truth? That Atlantis was a grand experiment orchestrated by multiple alien races, each vying for control and using the Atlanteans as unwitting subjects in their cosmic power games. Did each race have a different goal for Atlantis, a twisted agenda that played out on a planetary scale? The core premise is this: Atlantis was not a civilization that rose organically. Rather, it was a carefully cultivated environment, a playground for various alien factions, each testing their technologies, ideologies, and genetic engineering techniques on the Atlanteans, with little regard for the civilization's well-being. Imagine Atlantis as a petri dish, teeming with life, but observed and manipulated by beings with agendas beyond human comprehension. If Atlantis was, in fact, an experiment, what does that mean for humanity's free will and our place in the cosmos? Are we still being manipulated by unseen forces, our lives subtly guided by agendas we cannot even perceive? Consider the modern-day conspiracy theories about government experimentation and social engineering. Are these echoes of a much older, cosmic pattern? Now, let us peel back the layers of history and examine the evidence. The Anunnaki, those beings spoken of in ancient Sumerian texts, saw Atlantis primarily as a mining colony, a source of precious resources to fuel their own ambitions. Did they exploit the planet's vast mineral wealth, using the Atlantean population as a workforce, bending them to their will through promises of technological advancement and divine favor? Reinterpreted Sumerian texts hint at the Anunnaki's insatiable need for gold and their creation of a worker race, a race that could have been the Atlanteans themselves. But the Anunnaki were not the only players in this cosmic game. The Sirians, often described in channeled materials as benevolent guides, attempted to steer Atlantis towards spiritual enlightenment and higher consciousness. Did they seek to awaken the Atlanteans to their true potential, to help them transcend the limitations of their physical existence? Perhaps the Sirians hoped to create a beacon of light in the cosmos, a civilization that could serve as an example for others to follow. But their influence, it seems, was ultimately limited by the Atlanteans' own thirst for power and technological prowess. Was it a case of good intentions falling prey to human ambition? Then there were the Draconians, reptilian beings who allegedly manipulated Atlantean society through advanced weapons technology, sophisticated control systems, and the insidious promotion of a rigid, hierarchical social structure. Did they seek to establish a colony or a puppet state in Atlantis, a stronghold from which to exert their influence over the rest of the planet? The Draconians, it is said, thrive on control and domination. What better way to achieve their goals than to infiltrate a technologically advanced civilization and bend it to their will? Finally, we have the Nordics, ethereal beings who provided Atlantis with advanced energy technology, unlocking the secrets of crystal power and sustainable energy sources. But their ethical standards were, perhaps, compromised by the Atlanteans' relentless pursuit of power. Did the Atlanteans misuse Nordic technology for warfare, for controlling other civilizations, or for exploiting the planet's resources without regard for the consequences? Imagine scenarios where the Nordics' gifts were twisted and perverted, turning tools of creation into instruments of destruction. What did these conflicting agendas mean for Atlantis? The competing interests of the Anunnaki, Lyrians, Draconians, and Nordics inevitably led to social unrest, technological imbalances, and ultimately, the civilization's downfall. Picture a society torn apart by internal divisions, caught in the crossfire of cosmic power struggles. But how did each alien race specifically influence and control the Atlanteans? Genetic engineering, mind control, sophisticated propaganda, technological manipulation, and the ruthless exploitation of resources were all tools in their arsenal. What were the consequences of this pervasive manipulation for Atlantean society? The loss of individual freedom, the erosion of ethical values, the rise of tyranny, and the irreversible destruction of the planet's environment. Does this sound familiar? Does it echo the challenges we face in our modern world? Consider our current technological dependence, the looming threat of alien intervention, and the slow but steady erosion of human sovereignty. Are we, like the Atlanteans, being manipulated by unseen forces, our choices subtly guided by algorithms and agendas we do not fully understand? Our modern debates about artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and government surveillance simply new iterations of an ancient struggle for control. Atlantis, it would seem, was at the whims of these powerful alien factions, unable to escape their grasp. Atlantis did not have a chance. But did all Atlanteans succumb to alien influence, or did a group of rebels rise up, fighting against their cosmic puppet masters, seeking to reclaim their freedom and destiny? Was there a hidden resistance movement within Atlantis, a clandestine group that sought to overthrow the alien-controlled elite and restore the civilization's true potential? Let us consider the possibility of a secret society within Atlantis, a dedicated group committed to preserving ancient knowledge and resisting alien control. Were there legendary figures, whispered about in hushed tones, who led this resistance movement, inspiring others to fight for freedom and independence? Names lost to time, perhaps, but their spirit enduring through the ages. Evidence suggests that this society, if it existed, developed its own technologies and strategies to counter the alien influence. Did they learn to harness psychic abilities, master the art of energy healing, and develop alternative technologies to combat mind control and technological manipulation? Imagine the challenges faced by the Atlantean resistance: constant surveillance, brutal persecution, and the overwhelming power of the alien-controlled elite. Were there heroic sacrifices made by those who dared to challenge the established order, stories of bravery and selflessness that have been deliberately erased from the history books? Did they even develop technologies to reverse alien tech? Did they learn how to turn the tide of a cosmic war fought in secret? Some believe that the Atlantean resistance played a role, either deliberately or unintentionally, in triggering the Great Flood, viewing it as a desperate attempt to break free from alien control and wipe the slate clean. What drove the Atlantean resistance? A deep, unyielding desire for freedom, an unwavering commitment to ethical values, and a profound belief in the inherent potential of humanity. Their motives, perhaps, were as pure as the motives of any freedom fighter throughout history. What specific techniques did they employ to resist alien control? espionage, sabotage, the dissemination of counter-propaganda, and the development of technologies that could disrupt alien control systems. The consequences of their actions for Atlantean society were significant. They inspired others to resist, they undermined alien authority, and they offered the potential for a more just and equitable civilization. The Atlantean resistance is something that connects to modern-day movements for freedom and sovereignty. Consider resistance movements against oppressive regimes, whistleblowers who expose government corruption, and activists who fight for social justice. Are these echoes of that ancient struggle, a continuation of the fight for human freedom that began in Atlantis? Even with all the alien influence, Atlantis still had people who resisted and tried to fight back, a beacon of hope in a dark civilization. But if these powerful aliens doomed Atlantis, was the Great Flood an act of senseless destruction, or was it, perhaps, a means of liberating humanity from alien control, wiping the slate clean for a new beginning, a chance to start anew without the meddling of cosmic overlords? Aliens intervened, they took over, and they destroyed a civilization. The ultimate consequence. But what does this all mean? We can make a choice and change, or become part of the process. What we do in the present matters. Will humanity repeat the mistakes of the past, blindly following the path of technological advancement without regard for the ethical implications? Or will we learn from the mistakes of Atlantis, reclaiming our free will and shaping our own destiny? The power is always ours to take. How we need to learn to not let others control our future. But is that even possible, or are we doomed to repeat the cycle, forever at the mercy of forces beyond our comprehension? With Atlantis destroyed, the towers fallen, and the alien influences scattered, is there any usable, recoverable technology remaining? Or is the Atlantean legacy merely an echo of lost potential, a whisper of wonders we can never truly grasp? Is this lost potential a blessing or a curse? The core premise is this: the truly advanced Atlantean technology, particularly that imbued with Lyran and Draconian seed code, is likely unrecoverable. This is because its reliance on specific frequencies, rare materials, or even consciousness-based activation makes it beyond our current reach. We are left with only tantalizing hints and echoes, fragmented clues to a power we can no longer wield. It's akin to trying to run hyper-advanced software on obsolete hardware. The code may exist, but the machine simply cannot process it. If Atlantean tech is indeed irretrievable, what does this imply for humanity's future? Can we learn from their mistakes and develop our own technologies responsibly, or are we doomed to repeat their cycle of dependence and destruction? The answer may lie in the very echoes of Atlantis, in the lessons encoded within their rise and fall. Let us begin by examining the footprints, or rather, the lack thereof. Lyran crystal technology, as many believe, was deeply intertwined with subtle energies and consciousness. Because of this, it left little to no physical footprint, making it impossible to replicate without understanding the underlying principles. The crystals themselves, according to some theories, were merely focusing devices for a broader, more complex energy system, a system that resonated with the very fabric of reality. Like a finely tuned instrument, the Atlanteans could use the crystals to manipulate space and time, but without the knowledge of the music, all that remains are rocks. What of the Anunnaki weaponry? Across the globe, discoveries of ancient artifacts hint at the existence of Atlantean energy weapons. Degraded and with their power sources an enigma, these artifacts remain unusable. Imagine finding a sophisticated laser rifle without knowing anything about electricity or the principles of optics. The device may be present, but its function remains a mystery, a silent testament to lost knowledge. What are some other artifacts? Were there helmets that could read thoughts, ships that could travel to the stars, or medicine that could heal any wound? And then there is the specter of draconian mind control technology. Some speculate that the Draconians left behind subtle resonance fields or coded messages within Atlantean architecture or art. These insidious influences, designed to manipulate the collective unconscious, are difficult to detect or counteract. How did this tech affect people? Did it make them more docile, more compliant, more willing to follow orders without question? Did it erode their sense of individuality, turning them into mere puppets of a hidden agenda? Like a subtle poison, the draconian influence may still linger, subtly shaping our thoughts and behaviors. Now, what are the implications of the unrecoverable nature of Atlantean technology? If it is unrecoverable, does that mean we are doomed to live in a technological dark age? Or does it mean we must not seek to replicate the mistakes of that time? Perhaps the true treasure of Atlantis is not its technology, but the lessons it can teach us about the dangers of unchecked ambition and the importance of ethical considerations. What can be learned from the failure of the Atlanteans? To not blindly rely on others for advancement, to not become dependent on alien technologies that we do not fully understand. Their fall serves as a stark reminder that true progress lies not in the acquisition of power, but in the cultivation of wisdom and responsibility. Was it all too much, too soon? What might a future with this new understanding look like? A future where we prioritize spiritual development, harmony with nature, and the well-being of all living beings. A future where we are not driven by the insatiable thirst for power and control, but by a genuine desire to create a more just and equitable world. So, Atlantis is not able to be copied. Atlantis serves a new purpose. If Atlantean technology is beyond our grasp, what can we learn from their civilization's rise and fall? Are there timeless lessons encoded within their story that can guide humanity towards a more sustainable and ethical future? Can we truly learn the truth from fiction? Or are we destined to repeat the mistakes of the past? Reintroduce the Lyran emphasis on spiritual development and harmony, with nature as a model for a more sustainable and ethical society. It is far more important than advanced technology. The Lyrans understood that true power lies not in the manipulation of the physical world, but in the cultivation of inner peace, compassion, and wisdom. Was Atlantis missing these core values? Present the Anunnaki's destructive tendencies as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked resource exploitation and the pursuit of power. Nature will always strike back. The Anunnaki's insatiable hunger for gold and other resources led them to exploit the planet without regard for the consequences, ultimately triggering a cataclysm that destroyed their civilization. Discuss the draconian societal control as a warning about the importance of individual freedom, critical thinking, and resistance to manipulation. That power is not the way. The Draconians sought to control Atlantean society through advanced weapons technology, sophisticated control systems, and the insidious promotion of a rigid, hierarchical social structure. Now, how can humanity incorporate the positive aspects of the Lyran, Anunnaki, and Draconian influences while avoiding their pitfalls? What specific steps can we take to create a more sustainable, ethical, and equitable future? Perhaps the key lies in learning from their mistakes, in embracing the wisdom of the Lyrans, while rejecting the destructive tendencies of the Anunnaki and the manipulative tactics of the Draconians. What if we started focusing on freedom? What is the potential for humanity to transcend the limitations of the Atlantean experiment and create a new destiny for ourselves? Focus on a better outcome. We are not bound by the past. We have the power to choose a different path, a path that leads to a brighter future for all. Summarize the idea that the past can be avoided if changed in the present. If we do not learn, it is destined to repeat. What is the true purpose of Atlantis to humanity? Is it merely a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition and alien manipulation? Or is it something more, a hidden key to unlocking our true potential? Summarize key points. the mistakes of Atlantis can be what guides humanity. Don't follow down the same path. Synthesize. The Atlantean story is the result of alien influences and what can happen if humans seek power. A great example of what not to do. What path will you choose? Will humanity choose the right path? The choice is always ours. What will humanity decide? With the secrets of Atlantis scattered across the ocean floor, does the influence of its advanced alien science truly end with the Great Flood? Or could fragments of this forbidden technology still be at play in our modern world, wielded by unseen hands? Who controls these relics? What power do they hold? And why has this knowledge remained hidden from the masses? The core premise is this: modern-day governments and clandestine societies may possess fragmented remnants of Atlantean technology, reverse-engineered or recovered from remote and often submerged locations. This technology, far from being used for the betterment of humanity, is manipulated to further alien agendas, subtly shaping the course of human events. The stakes are higher than ever. The possession and control of Atlantean technology has the potential to determine the fate of the world, for either ultimate good or unimaginable destruction. Like pieces of a broken mirror, these remnants reflect a distorted image of Atlantis's former glory, a reflection that could either illuminate our path forward or lead us down a dark and treacherous road. What are the clues that support this claim? Consider the whispers of underground facilities, hidden beneath mountains or deep beneath the ocean's surface. Within these clandestine complexes, some believe, lie recovered Atlantean artifacts, including their once powerful energy sources. Imagine the implications. Atlantean crystal technology, capable of generating limitless energy, now powering secret military installations or fueling covert research projects. Some even suggest that the very infrastructure of these facilities incorporates Atlantean architectural principles, designed to harness subtle energies and amplify technological capabilities. But where is the evidence for such a claim? Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of this theory lies in the potential integration of Atlantean technology into modern advanced military applications. Imagine weapon systems powered by Atlantean energy crystals, capable of manipulating space-time or projecting devastating energy beams. Consider the possibility of mind control technologies, derived from draconian science, being used to influence populations or suppress dissent. What power does this give to the military, and what safeguards are in place to prevent its misuse? Some whistleblowers claim that the development of stealth technology, anti-gravity devices, and even certain aspects of the internet can be traced back to reverse-engineered Atlantean artifacts. Is humanity being protected by this technology, or controlled by it? Beyond the shadows of military applications, some argue that modern-day society has already benefited from ancient Atlantean advances, albeit unknowingly. Consider the possibilities: our understanding of space and ocean exploration, our advancements in medicine and communication, even our architectural designs may all have roots in the lost knowledge of Atlantis. Imagine the true origins of our technology being rewritten, revealing a debt to a civilization that predates recorded history. Space and ocean exploration is possible from the base of ancient technology, but at what cost? How many resources and lives have been sacrificed in pursuit of these Atlantean echoes? But if Atlantis truly exists through secret channels in the modern age, who controls these channels and to what end? Control is a huge factor. Consider the elite families, the powerful corporations, and the shadow governments that wield influence over global events. Do they possess a hidden understanding of Atlantean technology, using it to manipulate markets, control populations, and further their own agendas? Some theorists believe that these groups are merely pawns in a larger game, serving the interests of the same alien entities that guided Atlantis to its doom? Is humanity on the verge of a similar fate, manipulated by forces beyond our comprehension? What reasons do powerful groups have to cover up the existence of Atlantean technology? Perhaps the knowledge is too dangerous, too destabilizing for the current world order. Imagine the implications if the true source of our technological advancements were revealed, shattering the foundations of established science and religion. Or perhaps the technology is being hoarded, reserved for the elite few who believe they are entitled to rule the world. But what if this knowledge were to make it to the public? How would modern society change if the secrets of Atlantis were revealed? Imagine a world with limitless energy, advanced healing technologies, and the ability to travel across space and time. Would it usher in an era of unprecedented progress and enlightenment, or would it lead to chaos and destruction? The possibilities are endless, but the risks are immense. Atlantis is an echo through time, a whisper from a lost civilization that continues to reverberate through our modern world. With the remnants of this lost civilization still impacting us today, what role does it play in the power struggles of mankind? How is Atlantis a reflection of the power struggles of mankind? Is it merely a cautionary tale, or a key to unlocking our true potential? Consider the corruption that plagues our governments and institutions. The desire for power is a drug to people. Is it possible that some individuals, driven by greed and ambition, have fallen under the sway of alien influences, using Atlantean technology to manipulate and control others? Maintaining neutrality becomes paramount. Imagine a world where political leaders are mere puppets, controlled by unseen forces that seek to divide and conquer humanity. Does the black market further alien control agendas? By controlling resources, the aliens can influence human behavior and maintain their grip on power. The dangers of the desire for power in modern society cannot be overstated. Power, like a drug, can corrupt even the most well-intentioned individuals, leading them down a path of tyranny and destruction. What are the antidotes to this seductive force? Perhaps the answer lies in ethical leadership, transparency, and a commitment to serving the greater good. The importance of remaining true to ethics is paramount. Without ethics, all is lost. In a world where technology is rapidly advancing and power is increasingly concentrated, ethical considerations must guide our decisions. What principles should govern the development and use of Atlantean-derived technologies? Perhaps the answer lies in universal values such as compassion, empathy, and respect for all living beings. What if humanity embraced the Lyran ways, focusing on spiritual development, harmony with nature, and the well-being of all living beings? By being more spiritual and connected, we can break free from the cycle of power struggles and create a more just and equitable world for all. The importance of helping each other cannot be overstated. By coming together, we can overcome the challenges that face us and create a brighter future for all. Imagine a world where everyone is valued, respected, and supported, where cooperation and collaboration replace competition and conflict. Can we come together to make our world a better place? Humanity must take the leap and break free from the illusion of control. What does that look like? It requires a shift in consciousness, a willingness to question authority, and a commitment to creating a more sustainable and equitable future. It requires a rejection of the materialistic values that have driven us to the brink of destruction, and an embrace of spiritual values that connect us to something greater than ourselves. Control is an illusion. The end is always closer than it seems. With Atlantean echoes resonating through our present, can we truly create a future of peace and enlightenment, or are we doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past? Can we create that future today? The fate of Atlantis is sealed, but humanity writes its own story. The world needs help. Every choice we make will influence our future. Choose wisely. Will humanity be doomed to repeat the past, Or can we create a future of peace and enlightenment? You have all the tools. The power is in your hands to decide. What future will you create? With Atlantean echoes resonating through our present, can we truly discern the origin of our most groundbreaking technology? Or are we merely unwitting inheritors, unknowingly guided by the whispers of a civilization lost to time and alien influence? If modern technology is rooted in Atlantean remnants, how can we tell what is purely human innovation versus continued alien influence, subtle or direct? The core premise remains. Key areas of modern technology, specifically energy, communications, and defense, are, to an unknown degree, based on reverse-engineered Atlantean technology, continuing a cycle of alien influence on human civilization. Atlantis influence and alien intervention are two sides of the same coin. One cannot exist without the other. Unless we can distinguish between human and alien influence, humanity risks being further manipulated by hidden agendas, losing true autonomy. Is humanity on the cusp of a technological renaissance or a carefully orchestrated subjugation? Consider this. Advanced energy technology, such as fusion and zero-point energy, may be based on principles gleaned from recovered Atlantean crystal technology. The anomalous efficiency of certain energy systems and the lack of clear scientific explanation for their functionality has led some researchers to whisper of recovered Atlantean technology. Imagine the potential: harnessing the power of crystals to control power grids, a concept seemingly ripped from a science fiction novel, yet potentially a reality buried in the sands of time. Could the key to a sustainable future lie not in human ingenuity alone, but in unlocking the secrets of a forgotten past? Could modern communication systems, satellite networks, and the internet be echoes of Atlantean communication devices, amplified and refined over millennia? What if the foundational principles of wireless communication were first discovered not by Marconi, but by Atlantean scientists harnessing the power of crystals to transmit information across vast distances? Some theories suggest the internet itself mimics the structure of Atlantean communication grids, a vast network of interconnected nodes facilitating the flow of information across the globe. What if we are unknowingly recreating a system that once spanned the globe, a system powered by technology we no longer fully understand? However, the whispers grow darker when we consider the potential for draconian manipulation. Some theorists believe that weaponized systems based on energy manipulation are not products of human innovation, but rather echoes of draconian technology designed for control and domination. Imagine energy weapons capable of manipulating space-time, or mind control devices subtly influencing the thoughts and behaviors of entire populations. Are these merely figments of our imagination, or chilling possibilities lurking in the shadows of technological advancement? Yet, there are other forces at play. The ancient Lyran people were masters of healing and holistic practices. Could modern medical technology, particularly holistic and alternative healing techniques, be rooted in Lyran knowledge passed down through Atlantean channels? Some believe that certain advanced therapies, such as crystal healing and sound therapy, are echoes of Atlantean practices, rediscovered and adapted for modern use. Moreover, many believe that Lyran knowledge continues to be channeled through individuals to this day. Are we on the verge of a medical revolution, rediscovering ancient healing techniques that could transform our understanding of health and well-being? The implications of these alien influences are staggering. Advancements that seem purely Lyran and good-willed can easily be corrupted and twisted to serve Anunnaki goals. Consider the modern-day energy crises. Are they a consequence of unchecked technological advancement, or a deliberate manipulation of resources to maintain control? What if the pursuit of clean energy sources is being subtly sabotaged by those who seek to maintain the status quo, perpetuating a cycle of dependence and control. Are we doomed to repeat the mistakes of Atlantis, allowing our technological prowess to be used for destructive purposes? Imagine an ancient society using crystal technology for mass communication. Has our technology reached the same level, or are we merely scratching the surface of its potential? Are we unwittingly recreating the Atlantean communication grid, a network that could either connect us in unprecedented ways or enslave us in a web of control? Modern-day society, in many ways, is an echo of Atlantis. The pursuit of technological advancement, the concentration of power, the widening gap between the rich and the poor, all these trends mirror the patterns that led to Atlantis's downfall. Are we on a collision course with destruction, repeating the mistakes of a lost civilization? Or can we learn from the past and create a more sustainable and equitable future? The old ways are the new ways. But if all of this is true, who are the gatekeepers to this technology? Who are the people pulling the strings, wielding this power for their own purposes? Is there a hidden puppeteer manipulating global events from behind the scenes? Theories abound about secret societies that maintain influence today through wealth, power passed down through generations. Wealth provides freedom and the ability to influence governments, control resources, and shape public opinion. This creates a system where a select few, the elite, have disproportionate power over the course of human events. Is the world being run by a shadow government, pulling the strings from behind the scenes? Wealth manipulates the governmental system. The select few control who has access to advanced technology, deciding who benefits and who is left behind. Some theorists believe that these secret societies, and the families that comprise them, have been around since Atlantis, their bloodlines tracing back to the ancient rulers of the lost civilization. Are we witnessing a continuation of an ancient power structure, a hidden elite that has shaped human history for millennia? Analyzing power and control reveals a repeating cycle throughout the universe. Power corrupts always. History shows a relentless pattern of rise and fall, of civilizations that achieve greatness only to succumb to corruption and decay. Is humanity doomed to repeat this cycle, forever trapped in a never-ending struggle for dominance? Who are these people, these families who wield such immense power? While their names may vary across time and continents, the underlying patterns remain the same: a concentration of wealth, a control of resources, and a willingness to manipulate events to maintain their position. It is always the same few people. What are their motives? Some argue they seek to maintain balance, to guide humanity towards a predetermined destiny. Others believe they are driven by greed, a desire for absolute control, or even a misguided belief that they are acting in humanity's best interest. History repeats always. The power and control system that led to Atlantis's demise never truly died. It merely became more secretive, more entrenched, and more powerful. What does that entail for us? Secrets stay secrets, and they will continue to stay secrets. Atlantis is not over. With all of this information, what can you, the viewer, do? Everyone has their part. Is Atlantis meant to be the guide? The answer lies within you. Will you choose to continue to be a puppet or be free? The time for action is now. Are the echoes of Atlantis not just whispers of a lost past, but dire warnings of a future we are destined to repeat? If secret societies possess forbidden knowledge and wield technology beyond our comprehension, are these power-hungry elites doomed to repeat the mistakes of Atlantis, hurtling humanity toward another technological catastrophe? Or can the cycle be broken? The core premise is this: key individuals driven by insatiable ambition and a lust for control stand on the precipice of either ushering in an era of unprecedented prosperity or triggering the destruction of our planet. It is humanity's decision. There is a choice. The path is not yet set in stone. Therefore, we must remain vigilant. Humanity must be wary of how this new technology is approached. Is the allure of our cutting-edge inventions and modern technology blinding us to the potential for self-destruction? Is the new technology of today subtly setting us up for failure tomorrow? Modern warfare has advanced to a chilling degree, where a single miscalculation or the careless push of a button could unleash devastation on a scale unseen in history. As modern warfare advances at an alarming rate, one wonders, if technology is a gift, why is it primarily being used for destruction? Has humanity's technological prowess outstripped its wisdom and restraint? The media prepares people to accept the catastrophic events, making them less of a shock and more of an expectation. Consider artificial intelligence, a double-edged sword that promises untold benefits, yet simultaneously poses an existential threat. Is AI a gift or a curse? The potential for AI to revolutionize medicine, energy production, and communication is undeniable. Yet unchecked, AI could also lead to mass unemployment, autonomous weapon systems, and the erosion of human autonomy. The great flaw in humanity is the lust for power overrules love for the neighbor. Power is an addictive curse. When power becomes the ultimate goal, ethics and compassion are cast aside. The needs of the many are sacrificed for the desires of the few, creating a society ripe for exploitation and collapse. What good is power without love? Atlantis' tale serves as a potent allegory for our modern-day problems. With advanced tech and little ethics, a civilization is doomed. Does the Atlantean narrative not serve as a stark warning of the perils of unchecked ambition? Can we, as a society, learn from their mistakes? For if this power exists, the control of it can mean chaos. AI is an amazing tool, but is being used for negative means. Is there not an inherent danger in concentrating such immense power in the hands of a select few? The misuse of AI, be it through biased algorithms or weaponized drones, could have catastrophic consequences. Is it right to give power to those who seek it? The heart of the matter lies in the conflict between ethics versus power and control. What if true power isn't control, but rather the power of choice? As individuals and as a society, we must decide whether to prioritize ethical considerations or succumb to the seductive allure of power. The choices we make today will determine the fate of our civilization tomorrow, and this is how our history is fated to repeat if we allow it to. The point of Atlantis is to not repeat. Can we alter our course? But what can we do about it? The modern day can still utilize the Lyran ways by connecting to nature and building a more connected society. Using nature and helping one another is the first step. By reconnecting with the natural world, we can rediscover a sense of balance and harmony. By fostering stronger social connections, we can create a community that supports and uplifts all its members. Is this not what we truly need? The Anunnaki created a warning, and now we can choose how to use it. Either power or knowledge, not both. Did they not offer humanity a choice, a fork in the road? One path leads to technological advancement and material wealth, while the other leads to spiritual enlightenment and inner peace. Which path will we choose? The Draconians teach us that control is an illusion. It all crumbles. Does the rise and fall of empires not serve as a testament to the futility of control? Is it not better to embrace change and uncertainty than to cling to an illusion of power? What if we simply let go? Therefore, Atlantean ways need to be left in the past in order for there to be a future. But can we truly sever the ties that bind us to our past? Or are we destined to repeat the same mistakes, generation after generation? What if the only way forward is to forgive the past? Yet we can use ancient wisdom from Atlantis to build the present, a better society. What if the key to creating a better society lies not in abandoning the past, but in learning from it? By understanding the mistakes of Atlantis, can we create a more just and equitable future for all? What if the past does actually hold the keys? There exists a possibility of peace on Earth and beyond. Humanity can do it. Is this not the ultimate goal, the dream that has inspired countless generations? What if we could transcend our differences and unite as a single species, working together to create a better world for all? What if we reach the stars? For if Atlantis' mistakes can be acknowledged and worked past, humanity can make a real change. Not if, but when. What will we do? Will humanity create the new world or fall into the old patterns? We can choose as a human collective. Now, we are the masters of our destiny, the architects of our future. As a human collective, we have the power to choose our path. Will we continue down the road of destruction, or will we forge a new path towards peace and prosperity? But if we work together, a bright and beautiful future can be established. There is always hope. Hope is not a passive wish, but an active force that drives us to strive for a better tomorrow. And there is always the possibility of good, the possibility of change. But what will you do with this information? The choice is yours. It is up to each and every one of us to decide what kind of world we want to live in. Will you allow the powerful elite to continue, or will you resist? Everyone has the power to change something, but will you use it? The power is within. Choose wisely, for there is always choice. We always have choice. What is your choice? Are the echoes of Atlantis merely a cautionary tale or a prophecy yet to be fulfilled? Did the Atlanteans' pursuit of forbidden knowledge and unchecked power ultimately seal their fate? And are we, in our modern age, on a similar collision course? The answer lies not in the stars, but within ourselves. The core of the matter is this. Now, in this very moment, humanity stands at a crossroads, a pivotal point in history mirroring the choices that led to Atlantis' demise. The pursuit of power and control, the allure of forbidden knowledge, and the ethical dilemmas posed by advanced technology are not relics of the past, but pressing issues that define our present. There is no future if we do not learn from the mistakes of the past, if we continue to prioritize power over ethics, and if we fail to recognize the interconnectedness of all things. Everything has come down to this moment, and humanity will now make a choice that will decide our future. If people do not choose the right path, it is all over. List ye, O man, for the stakes are higher than ever before. This is not a game, nor a simple choice, but the very fate of humanity hanging in the balance. Now, we have all the knowledge that we can either choose love or fear. It is up to the person. What does this choice entail? What are these elusive paths of love and fear? Love, in this context, is not merely a sentimental emotion, but a guiding principle, a recognition of the inherent worth and interconnectedness of all beings. It is the driving force behind compassion, empathy, and the pursuit of justice. It is the foundation of a society built on cooperation, sustainability, and the well-being of all. Fear, on the other hand, is the antithesis of love. It is the root of greed, hatred, and the lust for power. It fuels division, conflict, and the exploitation of others. Now, which people are more prone to pick what path? Why would a person choose the negative way? Those consumed by fear often seek control as a means of alleviating their anxieties. They see the world as a dangerous and unpredictable place, and they believe that the only way to protect themselves is to dominate others. This manifests as a relentless pursuit of wealth, power, and status, often at the expense of those less fortunate. Individuals driven by fear are susceptible to manipulation, propaganda, and divisive rhetoric. They may cling to rigid ideologies and be unwilling to consider alternative perspectives. Imagine an enlightened world, a society guided by love and compassion. Resources are shared equitably, technology is used for the benefit of all, and the natural world is revered and protected. Education is accessible to everyone, creativity is encouraged, and individuals are empowered to pursue their passions. Conflict is resolved through dialogue and understanding, and peace reigns supreme. Contrast this with an end-of-times world, a dystopian nightmare fueled by fear and division. Resources are scarce, technology is weaponized, and the environment is ravaged. Society is fractured into warring factions, and individuals are reduced to mere cogs in a machine. Freedom is suppressed, dissent is silenced, and life is a constant struggle for survival. The choice, as always, is ours. Hearken ye, for the tapestry of fate is not woven by chance but by the deliberate actions of individuals. Every person must decide what they want for their lives and what their legacy would be. Every choice, no matter how small, has a ripple effect, influencing the future in ways we may never fully comprehend. The Atlanteans, in their hubris and pursuit of power, may have believed they were masters of their destiny, but they were ultimately slaves to their own fears and desires. Did Atlantis fail because they did not have a choice? Or was it because they had the choice, they just couldn't see the right one? Perhaps Atlantis had a choice, but lacked the wisdom to discern the path of love from the path of fear. Perhaps they were blinded by the allure of power and the seductive whispers of forbidden knowledge. Never before in human history has there been a moment such as this, a confluence of technological prowess, ethical dilemmas, and existential threats. This is not a mere historical parallel, but a call to action, a summons to awaken from our slumber and consciously choose the future we desire. It's up to us to make the right decisions. Now there is a choice, and if we can acknowledge the mistake, humanity can change. We can have a choice, but the key is acknowledgement. So the question then becomes, what happens now? What does the future hold? Is humanity doomed to repeat the mistakes of Atlantis, or can we forge a new path? A path guided by love, compassion, and a profound respect for the interconnectedness of all things. What has been learned through this video? The purpose of alien involvement in our creation, the rise and fall of Atlantis, the duality of love and fear, and the choices we face in the present moment. But what does it all mean to you? How does this ancient narrative resonate with your own experiences and beliefs? Does it inspire you to choose a different path, to embrace a more compassionate and sustainable way of living? It matters what you think because it will affect the future. And now, viewer, what will you choose? Will it be love or fear? You have all the information, decide what is to come. Is it to be a world of cooperation, empathy, and sustainability, or one of division, conflict, and destruction? The future depends on the choices that you make. No joke, choose wisely. Was the cataclysmic end of Atlantis, marked by the Great Flood, a mere accident of nature, a tragic confluence of geological events? Or was it something far more sinister, a deliberate act orchestrated by forces beyond human comprehension? The core of the matter rests on understanding the extent of alien influence in Atlantis, and whether the Atlanteans' misuse of their technology triggered a response, not from nature, but from the cosmos. Was this truly random chance, or set up through a history of manipulation? Hearken ye, for the premise we must explore is this. The Great Flood was no accident of nature, no random act of a chaotic universe. It was an engineered cataclysm, triggered by various alien races in response to the Atlanteans using their gifted technology in ways that threatened the balance of the world, or perhaps the galaxy. Draconians sought control, Anunnaki craved dominance, Lyrians desired harmony, and Nordics aimed for order. Each had their own agenda, and Atlantis, in its technological hubris, became a pawn in their cosmic game. Understanding whether this was a deliberate act, a cosmic reset, is crucial. For if the flood was indeed engineered, it suggests a cycle, a pattern of intervention and destruction that could be destined to repeat itself. Are we today in the same place as Atlantis, teetering on the brink of a similar fate? The answer lies buried beneath the layers of history, myth, and suppressed knowledge. Now, this is the account of the ancient flood myths, retold through the lens of alien intervention. The Sumerian, Babylonian, and biblical narratives all speak of a great deluge, a cleansing of the earth. But what if these were not simply stories of divine wrath or natural disaster? What if they were accounts of alien races enacting a cosmic reset, wiping the slate clean on a failed experiment? In the Epic of Gilgamesh, the gods, disturbed by the noise and chaos of humanity, decide to unleash a flood. Similarly, in the book of Genesis, God, grieved by the wickedness of humanity, sends a flood to destroy all living things, save for Noah and his family. Did these divine beings act alone, or were they instruments of a higher power, alien races enforcing a cosmic law? What if these accounts are distorted memories of advanced beings intervening in human affairs, attempting to steer the course of civilization, even if it meant wiping the slate clean? Consider this. Did these alien races deem certain groups of humans a lost cause beyond redemption? Did they seek to destroy them, to create a utopia from the ashes of a failed experiment? The biblical account of Noah suggests a desire to start again, to create a new lineage of humans deemed more worthy. The Anunnaki, according to some interpretations of ancient Sumerian texts, tinkered with human DNA, creating different versions of humanity. Was the flood a means of eliminating the failed prototypes, paving the way for a more compliant and controllable human race? List ye, O man, for this is a dark chapter in human history, one that raises disturbing questions about free will, manipulation, and the role of extraterrestrial forces in shaping our destiny. But here's what most people miss. These different races are not relics of the past. They are still around to this day, subtly influencing and manipulating modern society. The power struggles of ancient Atlantis are echoed in the geopolitical conflicts of our time, the technological advancements of the past mirrored in the ethical dilemmas we face today. Do we truly have our own control, or are we puppets on a string, dancing to the tune of ancient alien agendas? Analyze the motives behind each alien race, and the role they played in the events leading up to the Great Flood. The Draconians, driven by a thirst for power and control, may have sought to exploit Atlantis's resources and technology, turning the civilization into a puppet state. The Sirians, with their emphasis on harmony and balance, may have attempted to intervene, to steer Atlantis away from its destructive path, but their efforts may have been thwarted by the Draconians' influence. The Anunnaki, with their complex and often contradictory agendas, may have sought to use Atlantis as a staging ground for their own power struggles, playing different factions against each other. The Nordics, with their focus on order and control, may have seen Atlantis as a threat to the stability of the galaxy, a rogue civilization that needed to be brought to heel. What they did and how it played a part in that era, whether it be mining resources, taking over as a civilization, destroying the planet, or trying to create one. Note this: the elite class of Atlantis, like many ruling classes throughout history, abused their power, indulging in hedonistic pursuits and neglecting the welfare of the masses. They became enamored with technology, seeing it as a means of achieving god-like status, rather than as a tool for the betterment of society. They hoarded knowledge, suppressed dissent, and created a system of inequality that ultimately led to the civilization's downfall. They did not care for others. This is a pattern that repeats itself throughout history, a cautionary tale of unchecked power and the corrupting influence of greed. Are our modern-day elites any different? Do they, too, prioritize their own interests over the well-being of humanity? The similarities are striking, and they serve as a stark warning of the dangers that lie ahead. And it happened because of it. The world of Atlantis was set up for a great failure. The seeds of destruction were sown long before the floodwaters rose. The alien influence, the technological hubris, the social inequality, the moral decay, all these factors contributed to the civilization's demise. The flood was not just a natural disaster. It was the inevitable consequence of a society that had lost its way, a civilization that had forgotten its connection to the cosmos and to each other. It was a tragedy foretold, a lesson that humanity has yet to fully learn. Now, the account has been told of the reasons why the flood happened, the alien influence, the abuse of power, the moral decay. But what was lost during this cataclysmic event? What knowledge, what technology, what potential was swept away by the floodwaters? What was saved, preserved by those who foresaw the coming destruction? And what was buried, hidden beneath the layers of sediment and forgotten history, waiting to be rediscovered? Discuss lost technologies. The answer to these questions holds the key to understanding our past and shaping our future. Hearken, for there are different pieces of technology and knowledge from Atlantis that have trickled down throughout time, echoes of a forgotten dawn. Ancient maps of the Earth, predating the flood, depict coastlines and landmasses that are vastly different from our modern maps, suggesting a world transformed by cataclysmic events. Advanced building techniques, evident in megalithic structures around the globe, defy conventional explanations, hinting at a lost understanding of engineering and physics. Ancient medicine, with its emphasis on holistic healing and the power of the mind, offers insights into the potential of human consciousness and its connection to the natural world. Are these mere coincidences, or are they glimpses of a lost civilization, a testament to the ingenuity and wisdom of the Atlanteans? Did all of the stories about the flood actually save lives? The flood myth appears in countless cultures across the globe, from the Americas to Asia, from Africa to Europe. These stories, while differing in detail, share a common thread, a great deluge that wipes out civilization, followed by a period of renewal. Were these stories simply cautionary tales, warnings against hubris and moral decay? Or did they serve a more practical purpose, preserving knowledge and wisdom that would otherwise have been lost to the flood? Were the survivors of the flood guided by these stories, using them as a blueprint for rebuilding civilization? If so, then the flood myths are not just relics of the past, but living testaments to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of shared knowledge. Then observe the architecture all over the world that uses advanced engineering. Megalithic structures like the pyramids of Giza, the walls of Sacsayhuaman, and the temples of Angkor Wat stand as silent witnesses to a forgotten age. These structures, built with massive stones weighing tons, exhibit a level of precision and engineering that defies conventional explanations. How did ancient civilizations, without the aid of modern technology, manage to quarry, transport, and assemble these colossal stones? Were they aided by advanced technology, perhaps inherited from Atlantis? Were they guided by knowledge lost to us today? The survival of these structures to this day is a testament to the skill and ingenuity of their builders, a reminder of the advanced civilization that once existed on this planet. Consider these possibilities of life from Atlantis passing forward. If they could, what would they do? Did some Atlanteans foresee the coming destruction, and did they take steps to preserve their knowledge and technology? Did they build underground shelters, create hidden archives, or encode their wisdom in myths and legends? Did they attempt to pass on their knowledge to future generations, to plant the seeds of a new Atlantis in a world ravaged by the flood? The answers to these questions remain shrouded in mystery, but the possibility remains that the legacy of Atlantis lives on, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be rediscovered. If they could see the destruction, would they even try? Is the past truly in the past if it is still a factor today? The lessons of Atlantis are not just historical curiosities, they are relevant to our present and future. The dangers of unchecked technological advancement, the corrupting influence of power, the importance of social justice, the need for environmental stewardship, these are all issues that Atlantis faced, and they are issues that we continue to grapple with today. The echoes of Atlantis resonate through our modern world, reminding us of the choices we face and the consequences of our actions. Analyze what they meant for the future and then explore if they were truly important. The legacy of Atlantis is not just about lost technology or sunken cities. It is about the potential of humanity, the heights we can reach, and the depths to which we can fall. It is a reminder that we are capable of both great good and great evil, and that the choices we make today will determine the fate of our civilization. Now, contemplate if all these factors have the opportunity to help or doom humanity. The knowledge and technology of Atlantis, if rediscovered, could be used to solve some of the world's most pressing problems, from climate change to poverty to disease. But it could also be used to create new weapons of destruction, to further entrench inequality, and to accelerate the degradation of the environment. The responsibility lies in the individual, in our collective wisdom and moral compass, to choose the path that leads to a brighter future. What did this teach us about Atlantis? What will they mean for the future? Thus, synthesize the information that has been presented in this video. There are several ways the advanced technology can come into play now. It all comes down to this single choice. Will we learn from the mistakes of Atlantis, or will we repeat them? Will we use our technology for the benefit of all, or will we allow it to be used for the enrichment of a few? Will we strive for a more just and sustainable world, or will we continue down the path of destruction? It is on us to make that choice, to shape our own destiny. Therefore hearken ye, for this is the ultimate question. Can you create a world from here that will set humanity up to succeed? Can you build a civilization that is both technologically advanced and morally sound? Can you create a society that is based on love, compassion, and respect for all living things? This all depends on what you decide, on the choices you make, on the values you embrace. The power is within you. Make the choice to be free. Free from the chains of fear, free from the shackles of greed, free from the illusions of power. The future of humanity rests on your shoulders. Make the choice to create a world worthy of our potential, a world where the lessons of Atlantis have been learned and the legacy of humanity shines brightly for all eternity, free from all. But what we'll discover next is even more shocking. Was the fate of Atlantis sealed by the actions of a select few, or was it a collective failure of a civilization blinded by its own technological prowess? Hearken ye, for the answer lies not in the ruins of the past, but in the choices we make today. With the knowledge of the alien races and their influence on Atlantis, will you succumb to the manipulations of power, or will you rise above, forging a better path for humanity? The conclusion you make is the future of all. The core of this matter rests on the understanding that the power to break free from the cycle of destruction lies within each of you. With all the insights gained from this video, can you look inward, acknowledge the echoes of Atlantis in your own life, and make a conscious choice to create a better Earth? Or will you remain a puppet, unknowingly repeating the mistakes of the past, forever trapped in a loop of control and cataclysm? The choice is yours, but be warned. The clock is ticking. There is no more time. For within each of us lies the potential for both creation and destruction, a reflection of the alien influences that shaped Atlantis. Sirians, love, compassion, and spirituality, the very foundation of existence. Anunnaki, resourcefulness, strength, and adaptability, the drive to survive and thrive. Draconians, manipulation, power, and control, a never-ending cycle of dominance. All of these traits reside within you, and it is your choice how you will wield them. Now, let us delve deeper into these influences and explore how you can harness their positive aspects to transform your life and the world around you. The Lyran influence calls you to embrace love, compassion, and spirituality. Practice meditation, cultivate empathy, and extend kindness to all beings. Seek harmony in your relationships, connect with nature, and nurture your soul. The Anunnaki influence empowers you to be resourceful, strong, and adaptable. Use your skills to overcome challenges, Create innovative solutions and build a better future for yourself and others. But heed this warning. Do not exploit or manipulate others to achieve your goals. Strive for ethical resourcefulness, using your strength to uplift, not dominate. And above all, reject the manipulative ways of the Draconians. For power gained through control and domination is fleeting, ultimately leading to destruction and despair. Recognize the signs of manipulation in your own life and in the world around you, and resist the urge to control or dominate others. Remember, true strength lies in empowering others, not in controlling them. These choices may seem insignificant, but they determine the destiny of Earth and the future we create. Now is the time to start making a change. It is easy to hear me talk, but what can you do to take that leap? Then, consider what you have learned here today. We've explored the alien influences that shaped Atlantis, the misuse of technology that led to its downfall, and the echoes of these ancient struggles in our modern world. The Lyrians' call for love and compassion, the Anunnakis' drive for survival and innovation, the Draconians' lust for power and control, these are forces that continue to shape human civilization. But here's what most people miss. The fall of Atlantis was not just a technological disaster, it was a failure of consciousness. The Atlanteans forgot their connection to the cosmos, to each other, and to the very planet that sustained them. Relate this to what is happening around you. Is there love, respect, and compassion? And now I ask, after all this, viewer, what will you do? The option is yours. It is all on you. Will you embrace the path of love, compassion, and ethical resourcefulness, or will you succumb to the manipulative ways of power and control? Will you be a force for healing and harmony, or will you contribute to the cycle of destruction? The future of humanity hangs in the balance. But the story doesn't end here. The technology is coming back to life. What we'll discover next is even more shocking. Did Atlantis, in its final descent, understand the magnitude of their errors, or were they so consumed by pride and alien manipulation that they marched blindly toward their doom? The answer to this question is not merely a matter of historical curiosity, but a vital lesson for humanity today. For the true downfall of Atlantis lay not in the alien technologies themselves, but in the Atlanteans' choices regarding their use. It was a civilization seduced by power and control, not driven by community and harmony. Are we, in our own time, repeating this tragic pattern? The core premise to understand is the key to Atlantis's destruction lies not in alien intervention itself, but in Atlantis's choices regarding alien technology. These decisions led to a society that was no longer sustainable. They were driven by control rather than community. Recognizing this interplay between alien influence and human choice is essential to averting a similar fate for humanity. Are we doomed to repeat these mistakes? Evidence suggests that, as Atlantis teetered on the edge of annihilation, a faction emerged, yearning to return to the Lyran principles of balance and spirituality. These Atlanteans, sensing the impending doom, sought to reconnect with nature and the divine. Ancient texts speak of elaborate ceremonies performed in secluded groves, where they chanted in forgotten languages, attempting to appease the spirits of the earth and beseech the Lyran gods for guidance. They rejected the path of domination, advocating for a society built on cooperation and respect for all living things. But their voices were drowned out by the clamor of the elite, who clung to power and privilege. Meanwhile, the Atlantean ruling class, influenced by Anunnaki greed, continued their relentless exploitation of Earth's resources. Despite dire warnings from environmentalists and spiritual leaders, they pressed on with their insatiable hunger for wealth and power. Mining logs recovered from submerged ruins detail the systematic stripping of entire mountain ranges, the draining of vast underground aquifers, and the reckless release of toxic byproducts into the environment. More gold, more crystals, more power. The overseers would bellow, driving their workers to the brink of exhaustion. The gods demand it, and so do we. The pursuit of ever greater riches blinded them to the devastating consequences of their actions. And yet the most sinister influence came from those who embraced the draconian path of control. As unrest grew and the environment collapsed, the Atlantean government tightened its grip on power, employing advanced surveillance technology, mind control techniques, and even military force to suppress dissent. Propaganda filled the airwaves, painting a rosy picture of prosperity and progress while demonizing anyone who dared to question the status quo. Dissent is treason. The government proclaimed, obedience is the key to survival. Those who spoke out were branded as enemies of the state, imprisoned, or worse. The draconian influence had transformed Atlantis into a police state, where freedom and individuality were crushed under the weight of oppression. All of these factors converged to create the perfect storm, triggering the cataclysm that would forever erase Atlantis from the map. The Great Flood, as described by Plato and other ancient texts, was not simply a natural disaster, but the inevitable consequence of a civilization that had lost its way. But could this great tragedy have been avoided? Imagine a different Atlantis, one where the Lyran principles of harmony and spirituality had prevailed. What if the Atlanteans had heeded the warnings of their environmentalists and spiritual leaders, choosing to live in balance with nature instead of exploiting it for profit? What if they had resisted the draconian urge to control and dominate, embracing freedom and individuality instead? Perhaps if they had known, such an Atlantis could have averted the Great Flood and ushered in a new era of peace and prosperity. Yet here we are, at a similar precipice. Our world is plagued by many of the same problems that led to Atlantis's downfall: environmental destruction, economic inequality, and political oppression. Are we destined to repeat their mistakes, or can we learn from their tragic fate and forge a better path for humanity? Atlantis's story serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder that technology without wisdom, power without compassion, and control without responsibility can only lead to destruction. We must understand Atlantis's downfall so we can use that understanding for guidance, lest we too fall. Even at the brink of destruction, Atlantis still had a choice, but they chose incorrectly, or perhaps they simply did not know how to choose correctly. So, how does the Atlantean story repeat to this day? What lessons can be applied from the mistakes of Atlantis to the modern elite power systems? Are they following the same path? The modern elite class, driven by a lust for power and destruction, mirrors the Atlantean ruling class in many ways. What have they said, and what actions have they taken that would support this assertion? Economic and financial systems designed to benefit the few at the expense of the many, governments that employ manipulation and control tactics to keep the population in line, and the elite's control of the media to manipulate the masses, all of these are echoes of Atlantis. We deserve to rule, the modern elite proclaim, because we are smarter, stronger, and more capable than the rest. Look at our current economic systems. Are they designed to enrich the few while leaving the many to suffer the consequences? The answer is a resounding yes. The wealthiest 1% of the population controls more wealth than the bottom 99%, a disparity that mirrors the vast inequalities of Atlantis. And what of our governments? Are they truly serving the people, or are they merely puppets of the elite, enacting policies that benefit the powerful at the expense of the powerless? The evidence suggests the latter. Lobbying, campaign finance, and corporate influence have corrupted our political systems, making it nearly impossible for ordinary citizens to have their voices heard. But that's not all. The modern-day elite also employ sophisticated manipulation and control tactics to keep the population in line. Mass surveillance, propaganda, and the suppression of dissent are all hallmarks of our time. Social media algorithms are designed to reinforce existing beliefs, creating echo chambers where people are only exposed to information that confirms their biases. The media is controlled by a handful of corporations who use their power to shape public opinion and silence dissenting voices. Believe what we tell you, the elite proclaim, and you will be safe. Question us, and you will be ostracized. The problems are clear, so what steps can we take to prevent our own downfall? The answer lies in embracing the Lyran principles of love, compassion, and spirituality, rejecting the Anunnaki greed and the draconian lust for power and control. We must create economic systems that are fair and just, governments that are accountable to the people, and media that are free and independent. We must cultivate critical thinking skills, resist manipulation, and stand up for what is right. We are the many, we must proclaim, and we will no longer be controlled by the few. But how can we, as individuals, affect such sweeping changes? It starts with awareness. We must educate ourselves about the true nature of our world and the forces that are shaping it. We must question everything, challenge authority, and seek out alternative perspectives. Then we must take action. We can support organizations that are working for positive change. We can participate in peaceful protests. We can vote with our dollars, and we can use our voices to speak out against injustice. Be the change you wish to see in the world, as Mahatma Gandhi said. The current world view is bleak. The problems are daunting, but it is not too late. We still have a choice. Now, with the problems identified and laid out, how can we change? It is now known what happened, where, and when. The question is, what will you do? The main purpose of this video is to awaken you to the truth and empower you to take action. Will you go down with Atlantis, or will you rise above? What changes will you make in your own life to create a better world? Let Atlantis guide you. The future of humanity, the fate of the Earth, rests on the choices you make. What do you decide? What's next? Atlantis must be used for a reason, but we're just scratching the surface. What we'll uncover next is even more shocking, revealing a hidden history of alien intervention that has shaped human civilization for millennia. As we come to the end of this exploration into the alien influences on Atlantean technology and the civilization's ultimate fate, we must ask, what does this all mean for the future of humanity? And have we truly understood the lessons Atlantis tried to teach? It is imperative we examine all facets of what has been explored, lest the echoes of the past reverberate into our present. To summarize, Atlantis was more than just a civilization with advanced technology. It was a crucible forged by the interactions of various extraterrestrial races, technological hubris, and critical choices that ultimately led to its destruction. We saw the Lyran influence, which gifted Atlantis with advanced healing technologies, but a downfall in society from misuse. We then looked at the Anunnaki, who influenced resource exploitation, leading to the destruction of Atlantis. We finally examined the Draconians, who influenced manipulation through control systems, leading to the enslavement of the Atlantean people. All of these influences, whether intended or not, led to societal benefits and dire consequences. The central insight we must glean from the Atlantean story is that their downfall was not solely due to alien intervention, but their own greed. If the Atlanteans did not seek alien intervention for selfish gains, the alien races would not have held influence. With all this in mind, a profound question arises. If Atlantis serves as a warning, can our current civilization truly learn from its mistakes, or are we destined to repeat history? Are we capable of the necessary introspection to avoid the same calamitous end? Considering the moral implications of Atlantis, we must ask, were their mistakes inherently evil, or were they simply a product of alien manipulation and the allure of unchecked power? Perhaps the Atlanteans were not villains, but rather a civilization blinded by ambition and led astray by deceptive forces. Yet we cannot absolve them of responsibility for their choices, for even in the face of external pressures, they possess the agency to choose a different path. The long-term consequences of our dependence on technology are staggering. If we fail to heed the lessons of Atlantis, we risk succumbing to the same pitfalls: environmental destruction, social inequality, and the erosion of individual freedom. Is there an answer, or are we doomed to destruction? Even now, the echoes of Atlantis resonate within us, reminding us of the boundless potential of humanity and the critical importance of wisdom, balance, and ethical responsibility. By learning from Atlantis, we can avoid the pitfalls of the past and forge a brighter future for ourselves and generations to come. If Atlantis serves as a mirror, will we like what we see or change our ways for the better? The choice rests with us. To discover more content regarding Atlantis, be sure to explore our other videos on this channel. And until our next video, where we'll delve deeper into ancient mysteries and cosmic enigmas, keep your minds open and your spirits soaring. May the eternal light forever guide your path. By the end, we've journeyed from alien interaction to catastrophic mistakes, and now to the potential for ultimate freedom.